Marvel, Hell's Kitchen's new Punisher Part 2. In the container interrogation room. After Jaden broke down, the interrogation came to an end. The two cursed at each other and told each other all kinds of secrets without hesitation. The collusion with the gangs and the dirty deeds within the police station were all revealed. Finally, after Isaac's buzzer beater, there's a 50% chance that the baby in your wife's belly is mine, because the date is right. Jaden was silent. Cohen was silent. David, who was monitoring all this from behind, also fell silent. Let's end it. I can't listen anymore. Cohen walked out of the container, and the evening breeze made him suddenly sober up. Fuck, the United States is such a mess. David's voice came from the headset. The video has been edited, are you sure you want to send it? Cohen sighed. Send it, follow the plan. Wait a minute, okay. The video was sent to several high-ranking officials in the police department, including Chief George Stacy, and several reporters from newspapers. Besides, you can leave now, the police may already be on the move. Cohen looked back and saw that the container converted into an interrogation room had actually been hung with steel cables and suspended on a crane. With David's control, the container rose up swaying and moved onto the surface of the river. At the end of the video he sent to police, there was a 15-minute countdown. When the time came, the steel cable broke and the container sank to the bottom of the river. If the police could find this place in time, they might be able to save the two people, but this is almost impossible. Based solely on the appearance of the container's interior in the video, the chances of them finding this place in time were almost zero. What a shame! If they hadn't seen the state I was in, I might have spared their lives, especially Officer Jaden. My hatred towards him has almost disappeared, TSK. David couldn't help but continue. Believe me, it's a good thing that we killed him now, especially after you forwarded the video to his colleagues and reporters. God! Even though he is a bad cop, I have begun to sympathize with him. Cohen looked at the container swaying in the air and turned his head away with pain. After walking a long way, he let out a long sigh. No, I need to change my mood. David, are you ready for the second scene? Of course, you can find a suitable place to enjoy the fireworks. Cohen laughed. I bet Kingpin will be very happy tonight. A few minutes ago, when Kingpin's men were loading drugs into the police car, Cohen knocked them unconscious. He added ingredients to 6 packaged drug bags, disguising them as TNT time bombs containing drug bricks. Tonight, he'll be giving the residents of Hell's Kitchen a free fireworks show. David's voice came from the headset. The countdown has started. 10, 9, 8. Boom bang! Fireworks shot up into the sky, but they were not what Cohen had prepared. He was stunned for a moment. There were other people setting off fireworks today. What a coincidence! They really were in sync with each other. But your fireworks are not as big as mine, hee hee. Boom! The countdown ended and the loud explosion came as expected. David's excited voice came from the headset. All 6 bombs exploded, and the drug sites were completely destroyed. It seems that our drug lord has suffered heavy losses this time. Cohen stood on a high place, and the night wind blew his clothes, making them rustle. His back was straight, like a hero. Hundreds of kilograms of drugs were burned and $20 million disappeared. Lin Zexu, who destroyed opium at Human, was probably also so ambitious. Countless opium piles were piled on the beach, and a huge fire. Wait! A thought suddenly flashed through Cohen's mind. What method did Mr. Lin use to destroy the opium back then? Looking at the 6 flames, a horrifying thought suddenly flashed through his mind. French restaurant. The fireworks successfully impressed Vanessa. The red and green flames shone on their faces, and they smiled at each other like young boys and girls in their youth. Then Jean Bing keenly realized that something was wrong. He could still distinguish the sounds of fireworks and explosions. Glancing into the distance, I saw several burning places. My heart skipped a beat. It seemed like this was all my territory. Boss! The door behind him was suddenly pushed open, and Jean Bing looked over with a knife-like gaze. Wesley, the right-hand man, realized that he had lost his composure. After adjusting his mood, he maintained a forced smile on his face. Boss, there are some urgent matters that need your attention. Jean Bing remained silent. Before he could speak, Vanessa said softly, "Why don't we just leave it at that tonight? I'm a little tired." She stepped forward and gently hugged Kingpin, before letting him go, and whispered in his ear, "The fireworks tonight are beautiful." Kingpin's expression suddenly became much better, and he regained his composure. "Wesley, you take Miss Vanessa home for me. Send her upstairs in person. Understand?" Kingpin held Vanessa's hand and said, "I'm sorry. I'll give you a formal apology some other day." "That's totally unnecessary." Vanessa smiled and shook her head. As she walked out of the restaurant, Jean Bing's face became gloomier and gloomier. He picked up his phone and called. "Tell me what happened." Cohen ran to the nearest explosion site while questioning David in his headset. "Don't you know that drugs can't be destroyed by fire in a non-enclosed environment? Why didn't you remind me not to use the bomb? Fuck, I'm here to destroy the drugs, not to invite the residents of Hell's Kitchen to get high for free." In the small bedroom upstairs in the church, David looked aggrieved. "I was just an assistant. Why should you blame me when something went wrong? Besides, you didn't expect it either." Seeing that he didn't speak, Cohen on the other end of the headset also remained silent. After a while, a voice sounded. "Speaking of which, it's just a few 100 kilograms of drugs. It shouldn't be a big problem, right?" David scratched his head and said, "But these stations are all located in densely populated areas for the convenience of shipping. Moreover, there are drugs in the site itself, and we have no way of estimating the exact amount. However, these two black policemen deliver hundreds of kilograms of goods each time, and the inventory in the station may exceed our imagination." Fake. By the time he got to the nearest station, the fire was raging. In the face of such a fire, he seemed alone and powerless. All the residents in the surrounding area were awakened, and quite a number of them opened their windows and stretched their heads to look over here. "Why are you joining in the fun? I wonder if you guys will get too high and still be able to go to work tomorrow." Rubbing his face helplessly, he took out his pistol and fired continuously into the sky. Hearing the gunshots, some people quickly closed the windows and turned off the lights. But what made him despair was that part of the tightly closed window was opened and someone was peeking outside. "Damn it! Are you planning to take turns?" What's more than a dozen enthusiastic residents came out of their homes and spontaneously organized firefighting. "Fuck, do you know where this place is? Hell's Kitchen. Could you please show some self-protection awareness? You are putting out a fire in the middle of the night. Aren't you afraid of a gang fight? You've only had a few days of peace and already you're starting to go wild, right?" Cohen covered his face helplessly. "God, am I going to go to hell in the future?" Just as he was feeling sad, David yelled in the headset. "Brother, don't be stunned, this is your retribution. Bah, your trouble is coming. Daredevil is heading your way." Cohen's heart skipped a beat, thinking that this guy might be here for no good reason. He touched the devil-face costume he had put on earlier, and now he was afraid that he couldn't even pretend to be a passerby and leave. A dark red figure jumped and moved between the buildings, approaching quickly. He immediately spotted Cohen and his eyes turned cold. "Asshole, did you do this? There were 6 explosions and you killed dozens of people." Cohen's mind raced. He couldn't admit it. He absolutely couldn't admit it. Otherwise, you will never be able to hold your head up in front of this guy. "Not me. Don't talk nonsense. I was just passing by. I just saw a dark figure running towards the river. Go chase it." "Humph! You dare to do it but not admit it? Besides you, who else can plan 6 explosions at the same time? There are so many heroes in the world, why do you only rely on me?" Daredevil didn't waste any time talking to him and punched him directly. "Today, I will send you to jail." Cohen had no intention of getting entangled with him anymore. He just wanted to know if there was any way to eliminate this natural disaster. A man-made disaster. Coincidentally, several residents who had bravely put out the fire earlier gradually began to show signs of abnormality. Some people couldn't stop laughing, some began to tear their clothes, and some sang loudly. Seeing this scene, Daredevil's heart tightened. He stopped attacking, and said in disbelief, "Asshole, you actually poisoned me?" Cohen rolled his eyes at him and said, "Hero, can't you smell the smell of burning drugs in the air? If we continue to fight, I guarantee we will be more mad than them." Daredevil was stunned for a moment, then he lifted the leather hood on his face, revealing his mouth and nose, and took a deep breath. After tasting it, he took another deep breath. Another sip. With every breath he took, Cohen's expression became uglier. "Boy, are you hiding something? Marijuana, heroin, amphetamines, a lot of mixed drugs. Is this a drug den?" Cohen shrugged. "I thought, the person who set the fire must have wanted to destroy the drugs, but made the mistake of using explosives. But we can't blame him, after all, his intentions were good. There's a famous saying in the ancient Eastern country, 'No one is perfect, no one is without fault.'" Daredevil glared at him and said, "Do you know that this will cause big trouble? Someone may die from inhaling an overdose of toxic fumes. Some may lose their minds and cause riots, and some—" "I know," Cohen interrupted him. "So it looks like there's nothing wrong here. There are 5 more locations. Let's split up and check them out." Daredevil gritted his teeth, hesitated for a while, and said angrily, "Humph, don't let me meet you next time." After saying this, he swung the short stick in his hand and rushed to the next location. Cohen sighed inwardly. This was why he never agreed with Daredevil, but he also didn't consider him an enemy. "David, of the 4 sites left, which one looks like it needs me the most?" New York Police Headquarters. George Stacy's face became extremely gloomy as he listened to his subordinates' reports. A few minutes ago, he received a video in which 2 corrupt policemen confessed many things that shocked him. But putting all that aside, the lynching of 2 New York police officers was something he found highly offensive. Just as he was about to personally command people to rescue the 2 policemen, the explosion occurred. "Damn it, this is a terrorist attack!" He was extremely angry. "Investigate it for me. Whoever planned this attack will pay a heavy price." Dang dang. There was a knock on the door. Someone came in hurriedly. "Chief, we just received news that the video of the vigilante and the bombing will be on the headlines of dozens of newspapers, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times tomorrow." George Stacy's face turned dark black. There was no doubt that this would be a major blow to his career. "It will affect your career." He gritted his teeth and said, "Notify everyone. From now on, the bombing case is the #1 case in New York. All people and things must make way for this case. 24 hours, I want to see the results." Several senior police officers below opened their mouths but ultimately said nothing. Director George's order was obviously not in compliance with the regulations, but they understood that even the president would feel pressured by the front-page headlines of the 3 major newspapers in the United States. At this moment, someone knocked on the door again. "Chief, someone saw Demon Face and Daredevil fighting at an explosion point on 9th Street." He reacted immediately. The lynching video mentioned that 2 policemen were delivering drugs to 6 stations, and now there are 6 explosions. Looking at Devil Face and Daredevil at the scene, it is very clear that it was Devil Face who did it. Boom! George Stacy slammed his fist on the table. "Call the SWAT team for me, and mobilize all the police on duty to rush to the scene immediately. Search it inch by inch and make sure to catch the Devil Face." Someone whispered, "But we have no evidence to accuse him of doing these things. Who else could it be but him? Although I don't like the Red Vigilante, he wouldn't do something so cruel." George Stacy's face was gloomy. "Prepare the car, I want to be there." "Humph, Devil Face, I want to catch him with my own hands." The French restaurant was a mess. After hearing the news that all 6 of his drug distribution sites were bombed, resulting in losses of over $100 million, Gene Bing smashed this place directly. He stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, panting, and tore off the tie around his neck, his suit in disarray. Behind him, Wesley rushed back immediately after sending Vanessa away. Looking at the fire all over the city, Jean Bing said hoarsely, "Has the hunting team been released?" Wesley nodded. "They have already started to act. According to your request, they will only see the body but not the person. They better not miss." Wesley swallowed. As Kingpin's most trusted subordinate, he was well aware of the brutal methods of this gangster. Being hated by him so much, I can just sentence him to death. Sure enough, Kingpin punched the glass hard. The solid tempered laminated glass was instantly covered with dense cracks. "I really want to kill him myself." Coulson was awakened from his sleep by a series of urgent cell phone rings. This was specially set up by him for the dear director. As soon as the call was connected, an exaggerated, fluent and melodious voice came from the phone. "Coulson. Where are you? The entire Hell's Kitchen is engulfed in flames, and you're still sleeping leisurely? Are you kidding me? I asked you to stare at the devil's face. What are you doing?" Following Nick Fury's shout, Coulson pulled open the tightly closed curtains. In an instant, the flames of Hell's Kitchen came into his sight. He was indeed too tired these days, and his thinking was a little slow. The first thought that came to his mind was, the glass of the safe house has great sound insulation performance. However, the agent's instinct quickly woke him up and he looked at his watch. "Chief, the mission to monitor Devil Face ended yesterday. It is now midnight, 1 minute, and my mission has been changed to go to Brazil to capture the Green Monster." There was silence on the other end of the phone. "Get your big ass off the bed. Hawkeye Barton is waiting for you at the door. Catch the guy who poisoned the entire Manhattan." "Yes, Director." By the time Cohen arrived at the site where he was needed most, things were out of control. The firefighters who originally rushed to put out the fire turned the fire scene into a water-splashing festival. A group of strong men laughed, cursed, stripped, and performed nude shows. The scene is extremely shocking, and as they take off less and less clothes, things become more ambiguous. Several policemen who had just arrived stared at the scene with their eyes wide open. Fuck, he should have joined the fire department. Who could have known they would resort to such tricks? In the window next to us, flashes of light kept exploding. Bang, bang, bang. Cohen fired a few shots, smashing several cameras that were filming out of the windows, then rushed into the group of firefighters and knocked them out one by one. Then, before anyone could react, he escaped again. He was in a hurry to get to the next place. It was said that a few black men who were high on drugs were having a passionate sex, and the scene was even more exciting than here. "David, what's going on in the other places? Can Daredevil still handle it?" "Fuck, if I hadn't started the fire, I would have never cared." He was complaining wildly in his headphones and was distracted for a moment. He didn't notice that there were several figures behind the corner in front of him, and he ran into a team of police officers head-on. Both sides reacted quickly and everyone put their hands on their waists. In the distance, the sky was full of flames and sirens were blaring. The moonlight here is quiet and silent. Cohen was about to say something when the leading police officer on the opposite side suddenly shouted 2 words. "Shoot him." Cohen didn't even have time to roll his eyes. He ducked and dodged behind a van. Before he could catch his breath, he suddenly saw several gun muzzles sticking out of the dark alley in the distance, also pointed at him. Fake. He dodged again quickly, and a series of bullets hit the ground near his heels, creating a series of sparks. Crackling, countless bullets hit him like hail. Before he could catch his breath, his spirit level of 30 points suddenly made him feel a sense of crisis. Roll, roll, and roll again. Bang, bang, bang. Several large-caliber sniper bullets hit the ground beside him, and the flying stones hit his face. But the sense of crisis is not over yet. His compound eyes activated instantly, everything around him slowed down, and he caught a glimpse of a track. It was a bullet, but it traveled in an arc. There were not just 1, but 7 or 8 of them, blocking the space he had to hide from all directions. Master! This thought flashed through Cohen's mind, and his mental strength was extremely focused. He threw himself forward and thrust his chest forward towards the 2 bullets coming at him from the front. Boom! Humph! His body trembled, but he did not stop moving. He took a few quick steps forward and jumped into a dark alley. Seeing that the enemy had lost his shooting angle, he leaned against the wall and let out a breath. He reached out and touched his chest, where 2 hot bullet holes were still emitting heat. Fortunately, I always wear double-layer bulletproof vests. Otherwise, I'll just have to leave it here today. But then he started cursing in his headset again. Fuck, David, what's going on? Why are so many people beating me? I am surrounded. Are these people crazy? David's voice rang out. I was attacked by their network when I was monitoring the police communication channel, and I just got rid of it. Knight, you seem to be finished. What? The New York Police Commissioner is personally bringing nearly half of New York's police to arrest you. Fuck, how could they know it was me? I didn't leave any evidence. Haha, Chief George Stacy said that no one in New York can do this except you. He would rather kill you by mistake than to catch you. Cohen gritted his teeth and said, Okay, George Stacy, right? You better keep an eye on your daughter. Otherwise, I'll definitely take her away. The people who shot you just now were gunmen and thugs who coveted the bounty on the wanted warrant. There are more of them than the police. But these are not the most important things. What really threatens you is a hunting team that suddenly appears. They were the ones who shot you with sniper rifles from a distance, and they were also the ones who shot you in the chest just now. Damn it, who is it? Wait a minute, a camera captured one of the men's faces. Found it. Maya Lopez, codename Echo, Wilson Fix's adopted daughter. David laughed. I said that anyone who competes with a gangster for a woman will not have a good ending. Cohen rolled his eyes and said, Just wait, I'm going to take revenge on Vanessa for all the anger I suffered from Kingpin. In addition, David continued, another guy with a bow and arrow aimed at you several times, but he didn't shoot. With him comes the hair-loose agent named Coulson, who also seems to have bad intentions towards you. Brother Knight, why don't we break up? I'm a little scared of you having so many enemies. What are you afraid of? You are already dead, okay? David screamed. I faked my death. Do you want me to die for real? Do you know what you are facing? One person facing an army of thousands. Ashley! For the first time, Cohen doubted his life. I just wanted to complete the system task and do something good at the same time, so how did it turn out like this? God, I am your shepherd, you can't play with me like this, can you? Outside the alley, the gunfire never stopped, with bullets coming from not only the beginning of the alley, but also the end. Cohen was very sure that if he showed up now, he would be shot to pieces, not to mention that there were 2 expert gunmen waiting for him in the dark. No, you have to save yourself. After thinking for a while, he immediately said to David, David, make an anonymous call to the police immediately, and tell them that the 6 explosion sites are all drug dens of the underground gangster Gene Bing. Let them divert police forces to rescue operations. He looked up at the sky and heard the sound of a helicopter. He had caught a glimpse of it before, and it was from the TV station. At the same time, report this matter to the TV station. Besides that, haven't you collected a lot of evidence of Gene Bing's crimes? Send it to reporters and tell them that tonight's explosion was a conspiracy by Kingpin. He is so desperate that he wants to make all New Yorkers addicted to drugs. Hand over the evidence of other gangsters' crimes as well, and mix in some shocking conspiracy. The most important thing is to attract attention. David was silent for a moment. Are you sure? These things can indeed cause considerable trouble to the gangs and Kingpin and divert their attention. But our evidence is not enough to kill them completely. Once they escape this sanction, they will hide deeper and be more difficult to eliminate. Haha, you are right. Cohen's laughter came from the headset. But you forgot that only the police need evidence. I only care about killing people. If they escape the punishment of the law this time, I will make it up to them. Understood. At this moment, Cohen keenly discovered that the people attacking him outside the alley had new movements. Several people sneaked towards the entrance of the alley, holding round objects in their hands. Grenade! The surrounding police and gangster gunmen tacitly did not shoot. At least in this brief moment, their first target was Cohen. However, the moment their bodies were exposed at the alley entrance, several bullets spun and penetrated into their foreheads. The grenade fell to the ground, and a few seconds later, a blazing heat wave erupted. Cohen huddled in the corner of the alley, gritting his teeth. Is this the method he used? Before he could finish his complaints, he saw a blurry figure carrying something on his shoulders through the wall. Then, a blazing red ray flew over. Boom! The violent explosion blew the bricks and stones of the wall in front of him into flying pieces. RPG. Is this New York or Iraq? You can't hide in the alley anymore, run! He took off the coat wrapped over his bulletproof vest, walked to the end of the alley, and threw it out. In an instant, thousands of bullets were fired at the coat, and it was instantly riddled with holes. Cohen took a deep breath. He seemed to see his own fate. There were too many people and guns outside. At this moment, the second RPG attack came, and the gravel hit his face. There was no time. He took off 2 heavy bulletproof vests, bent his body slightly, and made a running posture. The starting gun is the third RPG. Call out. Boom. Shoo. 2 bulletproof vests flew out, one on the left and one on the right, but the one who was faster than them was Cohen in the middle. Like a flying cheetah, it broke through the wind. Countless bullets shot past him, and the hot air hit every inch of his skin. He was tense, and used his dynamic vision to the fullest. Finally, he found the 2 fatal curved bullets among thousands of bullets. His running body suddenly twisted and the arcing bullet missed. But he was not happy in his heart, because the sniper rifle had not fired yet. He was very fast and instantly appeared behind a car. He couldn't help but feel relieved because this place could block most of the shooting angles. But the next moment, alarm bells rang in his heart. With his unprecedented mental concentration, he clearly sensed a special spiral bullet easily breaking through the obstruction of the 2 car doors and hitting his abdomen at a speed he could not react to. Fake! Cohen screamed in pain, but he knew that if he stayed at this moment, it would only cost him his life. Enduring the pain, his speed did not slow down at all. In front of him was a huge floor-to-ceiling window in the lobby of the first floor of an office building. Boom! 2 bullets fired, and he followed closely behind. Boom! Shards of glass flew everywhere, and in a few steps he leapt up and landed behind the reception desk in the lobby on the first floor. The marble front desk was very strong. Bullets hit it and the debris flew everywhere, but it was not enough to destroy it. With his infrared vision, Cohen even had a chance to fight back. He easily killed several gunmen who rushed to the front of the building. He finally got a breath. David's anxious voice came from the headset. "Knight, how are you? Are you seriously injured?" Cohen groaned. "Don't worry, you won't die for the time being." David breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good, but now you are facing bad news again." "Fuck, is there any more bad news? Has Captain America come back to life to catch me?" "Of course not, your plan just now worked, and the New York Police Department changed its primary operational target for tonight. From arresting you to rescuing people, the police around you will probably start to retreat. Isn't this good news?" "Huh, are you sure it's good news? If the police leave, it means you have no chance to surrender to them, and the remaining people want to kill you. Surrender to the police, and you will at least have a chance to survive." Cohen gritted his teeth and said, "Thank you so much for thinking of me." "You're welcome. The surveillance shows that many of the gang's gunmen have also withdrawn. It seems that the gangs in Hell's Kitchen are also feeling the pressure. But there are 2 obviously different people approaching you." Cohen glanced around and his infrared vision indeed found 2 red figures with agile and extraordinary movements a few dozen meters away. One had strong thighs and amazing jumping ability, and he jumped over the car blocking his way. Another seemed to be wearing a thick combat uniform with tiny heat sources all over it, as if there was some kind of mechanism. Cohen's mind moved. Could these 2 be members of the hunting team? Leaper Bartok and Scorpion McDonald came out of the hall, one on the left and one on the right. A female voice came from their communication headsets. "Scorpion, Jumper, I don't have a sniper view here. Remember that your primary goal is not to kill or defeat him, but to lead him into the sniper view. Mr. X and I have our guns waiting for him. Be careful, he's a very accurate shooter." Scorpion chuckled. "No matter how powerful he is, he has been shot, and I have seen his blood. Maybe I can kill him alone. Don't be careless. He is not an ordinary person to have dodged my shooting so many times." A middle-aged man's voice came from the headset. "I have arrived at a favorable shooting position and am ready to support you at any time." Bartok's voice rang out. "To be honest, what I am worried about now is that after I kill him, these jackals around will definitely come and snatch it away." "Hey!" A sneer flashed across Scorpion's face. "Then fight your way out. I want to see if they are really not afraid of death." The previous female voice sounded. "All right, let's deal with the demon face first, and we can deal with the others later." Bartok and Scorpion looked at each other and said, "Bang!" Gunshots rang out and glass shattered. They charged forward, over the flying glass, and rushed to the lobby front desk from left and right. A flash bomb was thrown by Scorpion. Bartok was prepared and closed his eyes at the moment of the explosion. Boom! After the dazzling light, he had just rushed to the side of the front desk when a dark shadow actually pounced towards him. The speed was extremely fast, far beyond his imagination. Before he could react, a cold dagger was thrust into his throat. His eyes were instantly filled with bright red. The gushing blood took away his strength, and he slowly fell to his knees, feeling a chill slowly enveloping his entire body. Seeing this scene, Scorpion had no time to be surprised before he saw the blood-stained dagger flying straight towards his face. He quickly turned his head to avoid it, but what followed was a powerful force hitting his waist. Instantly, his internal organs were churning, and even with the protection of his combat suit, he couldn't help but cry out in pain. At the same time, two giant python-like arms tightly clamped his waist, and their inhuman strength made his bones make a crunching sound. "It hurts!" Only at this point did Mr. X's bullet finally arrive. But Cohen rolled on the ground holding the Scorpion and disappeared behind the front desk again. Fake. Mr. X was stunned by this sudden and swift action. A thought came to his mind: is this guy really a human being? I thought I was a 1-in-a-million master, so who are you under? In the distant building, the captain of the hunting team, Echo Maya, slammed the ground hard. It's only been a single encounter and half of the team members have been killed? She hurriedly called into the headset. "Scorpion, how are you? Scorpion, are you still alive?" After a while, a strange panting voice came from inside. "I'm still alive, he." As for Mr. Scorpion, his protective suit was really powerful, so I beat him to a pulp. There was silence for a long time on the other end of the communication headset, and then Maya's voice came. "You are not hurt, this is a trap you set." "Ha ha." Cohen did not give a direct answer. "You want to know the answer? If you have the guts, stand in front of me and ask me in person. If you don't dare, then go home quickly and tell your fat father that I've made a note of this. You want to die." Cohen was certainly hurt. That particular bullet wasn't so easy to dodge. However, although his body had no time to react, his highly concentrated mind allowed him to quickly activate his ability, Dragon Energy, Explosion. His physical fitness doubled, surpassing human limits. The defense is as high as 40. Although it cannot withstand bullets, it greatly reduces the tearing force of the spiral bullet. In addition, he relied on his body that exceeded human limits to move a little distance at the last moment, so the bullet only caused a penetrating wound on him. No vital parts were injured. After he reluctantly went to the front desk, the communications system opened 2 newly acquired black iron gift packs. For free attribute points are given, all added to Constitution. After so many days of exploration, he already knew that his recovery ability, explosive power, resistance to poison and disease, and a series of other hidden abilities were all related to his physique. Thanks to the healing effect of the added attribute points, although the wound was not completely healed, it had recovered to a large extent. It basically has no effect on combat. It's bad luck to the two arrogant guys, Leaper and Scorpion. As they approached, Cohen activated his explosive power again and successfully counterattacked. Because it took so short a time, there was even some dragon energy left in his body. In the distance, the roof of a building. Hawkeye Barton witnessed the entire process. This exhilarating battle made him itchy, especially the performance of Devilface Cohen, which made him want to compete with him. He aimed his bow and arrow and then put it down, and finally couldn't help complaining to Coulson. "Coulson, what's going on? The director asked us to capture the Devilface, but why didn't you let me join the fight?" Coulson was observing the situation on the battlefield. When he heard his complaint, he put down his telescope. "Barton, I'm not stopping you from fighting. I'm just choosing a suitable opportunity. Otherwise, I'll definitely get you into trouble." Hawkeye looked confused. "What do you mean?" "There is an animal called the honey badger on the African continent. Although it is small in size, once you provoke it, it will retaliate to your death." Hawkeye frowned. "You mean, he's the honey badger in New York?" Coulson shook his head. "I only said that his personality is like a honey badger, but I didn't say that his strength is also like a honey badger. To me, he is at least a lion." Hawkeye was stunned for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Then how should we complete our mission?" "The director asked us to capture him. But the director did not say that the task must be completed tonight. If you want to catch him, you should carefully plan an action plan. Today is too hasty." Hawkeye nodded. "I understand. Do we need to evacuate now?" "That's not necessary. I can use this opportunity to learn more about his strength." In front of the office building, Mr. X was hiding in a corner. "Maya, are you sure the two of us still want to continue the mission? If the Devilface insists on hiding behind the front desk, it will be difficult for us to force him out." Maya's panting sound echoed through the headset, and she seemed to be running. "I will soon arrive at the new position, and I can then form a long-range attack team with you. As long as we can suppress him, the surrounding gunmen can use rocket launchers to directly destroy the front desk, and then he will have nowhere to escape." Mr. X smiled bitterly. Actually, he could escape to the staircase next to the front desk and enter the building. There was no way we would risk entering the building to search for him then. We have almost failed in this siege tonight. Maya on the other end of the headset was silent for a while. After a while, a voice came. "Then let's take a gamble. The short distance from the front desk to the staircase is the line between his life and death." Mr. X let out a breath. "Okay, then let's take a gamble with him, and see if he can escape." In the distance, Coulson and Hawkeye saw several figures carrying rocket launchers sneaking towards the office building. They knew that the final test of Demon Face had arrived. Coulson muttered as he observed the situation on the battlefield through a telescope. "It seems that the next time I see the director, it will be time to suggest that he pay attention to the problem of the proliferation of arms in New York." Behind the front desk, Cohen saw them through his infrared vision, but he did not panic. Even the corners of his mouth were raised and his eyes were fierce. There was a naked body in front of him. "Haha, no one probably noticed that Scorpio and I have a similar body shape." Boom! Boom! 2 RPGs hit the front desk of the office building accurately. More than half of the granite platform collapsed in an instant. From the thick smoke, a green figure rushed out like lightning. Mr. X was the first to react, and 2 bullets were fired at the figure's heart at a tricky angle. Only after firing the gun did he see clearly what was running out. Green armor, it's a scorpion. No, it's a demon face wearing scorpion armor. Fuck, how could I forget about this? Cohen was well prepared. He was fully focused, paying attention to the sniper rifles and arc bullets in the distance. As for other attacks, he could choose to resist them. The Scorpion suit is a carefully designed combat uniform, and the protection of important parts all meets the U.S. military's Level 6 bulletproof requirements. The counterattack moment has begun. As long as we kill the guy who fired the arc bullet, there is only 1 sniper rifle left in the distance, so the threat is not that big. As he jumped out, there was gunfire all around again. If you knew this was New York, USA, But if you didn't, you would think you were in the battlefield in Afghanistan. Cohen had 2 Glock pistols, and muzzle flames were constantly spurting out. The master-level pistol technique was extremely accurate. After 2 magazines were fired, the gunmen suffered heavy casualties and even the offensive was halted. But they are not Cohen's focus. According to his perception, the first 6 sniper bullets came cold, fast, and unstoppable. He quickly rolled on the ground and dodged continuously. At this moment, several arc bullets followed one after another. Cohen's eyes flashed, and he said silently in his heart, and the remaining dragon energy burst out again. His figure suddenly moved much faster, almost leaving an afterimage. Mr. X was hiding in the corner, and was shocked when he saw this scene. He didn't have time to think about it, his body instantly entered a mysterious state, adrenaline was secreted in large quantities, he took a step forward, directly exposed to Cohen's sight, and swung his right arm holding the pistol suddenly. The hammer bounces, the primer explodes, and the bullet is fired. He swung his arms forward like he was doing a weird dance, but only those who understood knew that it was a dance of killing. Cohen only felt that the oncoming bullets were intertwined into an intricate network, surrounding him head-on. The corners of his mouth turned up slightly, and the muscles in his legs compressed wildly, with such intense force that his bones creaked. The next moment, he jumped high like an antelope, and bullets whizzed past his feet. And he flew towards Mr. X like an eagle attacking a tiger. Boom! Mr. X reacted very quickly, pulled back his right arm and exchanged punches with Cohen. But then, his body was knocked away by the huge force and fell heavily to the ground. Cohen followed closely and stepped on him. Mr. X screamed and lost all resistance. Cohen picked him up and turned to look at the sniper's location. There was a black dot on a tall building in the distance. There was a flash of fire, and he blocked Mr. X in front of him. Boom! Blood splattered on the ground. Throwing the lifeless Mr. X to the ground, I looked at the tall building again and the black spot on it was gone. You run pretty fast, but if you can hide today, can you hide tomorrow? Gene Bing, right? Wait. The situation in New York is gradually under control. Cohen returned to Emma Church, and when David saw him, he couldn't help but applaud. Congratulations, congratulations, New York's most wanted criminal, Mr. Devilface, the reward. $10 million. I want to kill you. Only then did Cohen know that the almost insane Chief George Stacy had communicated with the court and the district attorney overnight and successfully issued the New York No. 1 wanted warrant that would go down in history. The New York poisoning king, the Devilface. The bounty starts at $10 million and is open to public donations. As time goes by, the bounty will get higher and higher. Cohen looked helpless. You say, should I change my vest? Ha, if you don't change, I feel like you may not live for a few days. Cohen sighed, this sinful world has no room for righteous knights. In the backyard, he dug a hole and buried the demon face mask. Goodbye, my short but brilliant life. Well, I'll try a better name next time. The Devilface is too unintimidating and not overbearing at all. The next day, the smoke of Hell's Kitchen had not yet dissipated and all residents were immersed in a sad atmosphere. On TV, on any channel, the hosts were indignantly condemning the gangs, the police, George Stacy and, etc. David was diligently checking the monitors and information on the internet, while Cohen was lying on the table with a set of colored pencils and some drawing paper. He propped his chin up on his arm and said, David, what do you say I should make a costume exactly like Daredevil's? He is my little hero, handsome, rich, and eloquent, he is my idol. David turned his back to him and rolled his eyes fiercely. What an idol! You just want to trick him. If I remember correctly, he helped you just last night. But I saved his life. In our country, saving a life requires a personal reward. David frowned. Is this custom still in China? I really sympathize with those men who were rescued by other men. Cohen paused for a moment, then suddenly thought of something and slammed his hands. Oh, right, why don't I just design a bat suit and call myself Batman from now on? David thought for a moment and said, This name, is cliché, inexplicable, and not domineering at all. You might as well be called Hawkman or something like that. Sure enough, the name Batman, without the support of fame, does sound lame. It's not as good as names like Golden Eagle or Black Hawk. But the Batsuit is very cool, but also very expensive. TSK, what a headache. At this time, David was looking at the computer and suddenly slapped the table. I found a guy who looks like a pure-blooded vampire elder named Marcus. Do you want to confirm it? Cohen raised his eyebrows. Of course, where is he? David picked up a cell phone-like device and said, he happens to be attending a banquet tonight. If we can confirm that he is a vampire, we can use this thing to hack into his cell phone. Just standing next to him for a few seconds is enough. Cohen's eyes lit up. So, we can find more clues about other vampires from his phone. Well done, David. At present, the growth rate of simply hunting iron-level prey is too slow. Just like yesterday, I killed dozens of little Karami from Hell's Kitchen, but only got 3 black iron-level gift packs. After opening, a total of 6 free attribute points are obtained. In addition to adding 4 points to Constitution during combat, 2 points were later added to speed. Name, Cohen Wong. Age, 22 years old. Bloodline, human. Status, normal. Power, 26. Speed, 28. Defense, 20. Constitution, 24. Spirit, 30, human bloodline limit. Skills, Combat Master, Pistol Master, Trap Master, Swimming Master, Basketball Master, Submachine/Assault Rifle Master, Diving Master, Sniper Skill, Singing and Dancing Skill. Abilities, Night Vision, Compound Eyes, Dragon's Chi Burst, Infrared Vision. Items, none. Instance, unlocked. Alternate Universe, unlocked. Main Quest, The Guilty Must Be Punished. Iron Level Prey, 6 out of 25. Bronze Prey, 7 out of 25. Newest Mission, Silver Hunt. Silver Level Prey, 0 out of 1. Creed, Kill to gain redemption. But if he wanted to increase all his attributes to the human bloodline limit of 30 points, he would probably have to kill all the gangsters in Hell's Kitchen. Efficiency is too slow. This can only be achieved by hunting down bronze-level targets in large numbers. Vampires are excellent prey. They come in large numbers, like to gather together, have obvious weaknesses, and turn into ashes when they die. What's more, ordinary vampires are only at the bronze level, so there must be silver-level prey among them. Cohen, there's another piece of news I don't know if you want to know. Tony Stark, the biggest playboy in New York City, will also be attending the party. Cohen was slightly stunned, looking at the drawing paper in front of him, and a wonderful idea suddenly came to his mind. In the evening, Cohen and David drove a shabby pickup truck and slowly came to the door of a luxury hotel. Amid the waiter's confused expression, they gave their names and successfully passed the dinner inspection. Take the elevator to the top 6th floor banquet hall. As he entered the venue, he whispered to David, "It seems that when we attend such banquets in the future, we will need a car that will not attract attention. For a banquet of this level, I'm afraid you'd have to drive a Lamborghini Veneno, Bugatti Veyron 16.4 or something like that to avoid attracting attention. In addition, you have to find a beautiful female partner. Oh, forget it. I'm still waiting for my money to make money. As for the female partner, you can consider it. Speaking of this, I'm wondering why you want me to leverage and buy Stark Industries stock to prevent it from plummeting. This is almost impossible. With the Department of Defense as their big customer, their stock price is very stable, and with Tony Stark, the smartest guy on Earth, anyone would buy it. You don't understand. It's precisely because Tony Stark is the smartest guy in the world that I want to buy the short position. A conceited guy like him will mess things up one day. I have a feeling that this day is very near. A strange theory." David muttered something, then laughed. "Perhaps you can tell this to the real owner. He has already entered the scene." Cohen looked back and saw a group of people surrounding the elevator entrance. Even at a banquet like this where many bigwigs gather, Tony Stark is the focus of everyone's attention. The power of the son of the plane is so terrifying. The dinner party officially started. Many big shots came tonight, including the mayor of New York, senior government officials, business tycoons, and media bosses. There was also an old man with yellow hair, who kept chattering while pinching his fingers like an orchid. You know, I know the most about real estate. No one knows New York real estate better than me. There was also a black salted egg smoking a small cigar, with big shiny rings on both hands. He started by saying, "My judgment is correct. He is the most promising rookie this year. I plan to select him." Looking past them, Cohen saw David winking at him. He followed tonight's target, the vampire Marcus, but unfortunately he was unable to maintain close contact for long. As soon as he saw Marcus, Cohen's system sensed that this was a silver-level prey. "Come and see what a big catch we got today!" After so many days, Cohen roughly guessed how to determine the level of prey. There are two factors: the strength of the prey and its status. Marcus is most likely an elder among the vampires. Seeing the anxious David, Cohen glanced around and happened to see Stark drinking at the bar. With a slight smile on his face, he walked straight over. Tony Stark was staring intently at a woman in the banquet hall. The bright red dress wrapped around her curvaceous body, and the hem of the skirt swayed slightly as she moved. The crystal high heels tapped on the ground. Tap, 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 as if beating to the same rhythm as his heart. Her face is delicate, elegant and dignified, but there is a hidden charm in her eyes. In particular, she seemed to raise her eyebrows at him intentionally or unintentionally. Damn! This is much more attractive than the superficial photos on magazine covers. His eyes lit up slightly and he adjusted his clothes. Just as he was about to move forward, a tall Asian man suddenly blocked his way. "Hey, are you the famous Tony Stark? I'm your fan. You're much more handsome than I thought." Stark was secretly happy. He certainly didn't care about the praise from ordinary people, but the Asian man in front of him was obviously a stunningly handsome guy. He was recognized by his peers and had made great achievements. He shrugged. "Although I really want to praise you for your good taste, I have something else to do, please let me." "Well, you're just a lot shorter than I thought. You only reach my chin." Stark was stunned for a moment. "What are you talking about?" "Stark, please don't be angry. Don't be angry no matter what I do next. After all, I am your idol." "What?" Stark was confused, and before he could react, he saw the handsome Asian man in front of him suddenly shouted, "Oh my God! You are actually a racist. I still regard you as my idol. How can you call me like that, Mr. Tony Stark?" In an instant, the entire banquet fell silent, and everyone's eyes turned over here. Taking advantage of this opportunity, David stood next to Marcus and began to invade. Stark was confused. "What did I say?" Cohen turned his back to the crowd, winked at Stark and mouthed, "Sorry. You can't call me that, Mr. Tony Stark. You can't call me a Chinese guy and say I'm as loud and stupid as those guys." The black-boiled egg in the crowd blinked. "I'm the only one here, did I disturb you?" Stark looked at everyone's suspicious eyes, especially the girl in the red dress who opened her red lips in surprise. He was extremely angry. He took a step forward and grabbed Cohen's collar fiercely. "Fuck, what are you talking about? I didn't say these words at all. Are you slandering me?" The two were very close to each other, and Cohen whispered helplessly, "I apologized in advance, don't be angry." Then he shouted loudly, "Oh God, Mr. Stark, please don't hit me, I'm so scared, don't hit me, someone come and save me." Everyone was in an uproar. Stark calmed down. Someone advised. The yellow-haired real estate developer turned his eyes around and whispered to him with his hands covering his mouth. "Stark, although the Chinese and Nige are inferior, you can't say these words to their faces, and you can't hit them in front of them." Black Sauce Egg happened to hear it, his nose tilted and his eyes glared. "What the hell are you talking about?" The yellow-haired real estate developer looked embarrassed and his eyes wandered. "Well, I also have black friends." At this time, Happy, who was slacking off and eating cupcakes in the dessert area, finally came over. He had no idea what was going on, but when he saw Stark's red face and angry expression, he felt as if he had not fulfilled his responsibilities as a bodyguard. So embarrassing! He immediately pointed his finger, like a hero descending to the earth. Hey, Chinese guy, let go of Tony Stark. After saying that, he jumped high like a fat eagle, his body drew a graceful arc, and pounced straight towards Cohen. The onlookers exclaimed in surprise, not sure whether it was because Happy seemed to have confirmed the racial discrimination, or because his agile posture was so impressive. Many women, including the girl in the red dress, stared at the scene with their eyes wide open and their hands covering their lips in shock. A smile appeared on Cohen's lips, and he dragged Stark back 2 steps with his powerful strength. In this way, Happy, who was originally rushing towards Cohen, will directly fall on Stark. Of course, the smart Stark also noticed this, and he hurriedly tried to get out of the way. But then he realized that it was not him who locked up the Asian man, but the Asian man who locked him up. The hands that held him were like a pair of iron clamps, and he couldn't move them at all despite his best efforts. Until the last moment, seeing the growing fear in Stark's eyes, Cohen softened his heart. He suddenly took Stark and moved sideways, and Happy missed his target and fell to the ground with a thud. Cohen's eyes swept over to David, who nodded slightly. Cohen suddenly laughed, put his arm around Stark's shoulders and gently hit his chest. Stark, you still cooperate with me so well. Don't worry, he and I have been friends for many years. This was just a joke between us. I'm very sorry if you got scared. Tony Stark, who was held in his arms, moved his lips, felt the hot chest behind him, and tightened his face but said nothing. Happy, covered in dust, got up and looked at the scene in front of him, a little confused. He didn't remember his boss having an Asian friend. Looking at Stark's stiff expression, he winked and asked in a voice he thought was subtle, Tony, are you okay? If you were held hostage, would you blink? Then he received a fierce eye roll from Stark. My roll? What does it mean? No matter what he thought, the onlookers saw that Stark did not refute Cohen's words and took it as his consent, and the crowd slowly dispersed. Cohen patted Stark on the shoulder and said, Good friend, see you next time. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Also, your bodyguard is awesome, he's very brave. You can try something smarter next time. Stark looked at Cohen's brisk steps, his eyes were silent, his palms clenched into fists, and no one knew what he was thinking. Cohen joined David and left together. Ding! The elevator door opens. What he never expected was that the person who opened the door was not a polite waiter, but a big black man in a leather windbreaker and holding a shotgun. Blade, why is he here? Before he could figure it out, Blade in the elevator had already raised the barrel of his gun. Cohen quickly held David's head and dodged to the side. Boom! The sound of the shotgun was like thunder, and Cohen even felt a heat wave passing by. You bastard, you are a Real Tiger! Blade walked forward while shooting, and the whole party became a mess. Of course, Blade did not kill innocent people indiscriminately. He was always targeting the vampire elder Marcus. However, as a pure-blooded vampire, Marcus has a strong physique and is good at using humans as cover, so Blade was unable to take him down for a while. Stark felt that he had a very unlucky day. He never knew New York could be so dangerous. Having just been slandered by an inexplicable guy, now a man with a big gun suddenly ran into the banquet hall. The key point is that the guy that Big Black wanted to kill rushed directly towards him, and it seemed that he wanted to use him to block the bullet. His loyal bodyguard Happy stepped in front of him, and then he was blown away. Looking at Marcus rushing towards him, he was desperate. At this moment, a wine bottle flew through the air at an extremely fast speed and hit Marcus' head. In order to avoid it, Marcus had to dodge to the side. At this moment, Blade's bullets shot over, and Marcus had to give up the idea of taking hostages. He turned to the window beside him and jumped out. The Blade followed closely behind. Stark, who escaped the disaster, quickly looked in the direction where the bottle was thrown, only to see that it was the rude Asian man just now. He even gave himself a gentleman's salute. Stark's expression suddenly became very interesting. The crowd was in chaos, and security personnel moved in to organize a retreat. Cohen decided to follow Blade. He guessed that the villain Frost's plan should be about to begin, and he would feel safe only when he teamed up with Blade to fight the boss. He asked David to leave the venue first during the chaos, and he went to the window himself. Everyone was running away and no one noticed him. He took out a silver-white mask with a very mecha style from his arms and put it on his face. Just as he was about to jump, he suddenly realized that someone seemed to be following him closely. Looking back, in the panicked crowd, Stark stood still, looking straight over here, with a trace of shock on his face. Why is this guy staring at me? Cohen paused, raised his index finger to his lips, made a gesture to him to keep quiet, and then raised his thumb to his neck. What I mean is, if you dare tell anyone, I will kill you. Then he climbed out the window. The expression on Stark's face became even more interesting, and he hurried to the window. Under the silvery moonlight, he only saw the figure nimbly and lightly walk down the stairs and disappear into the street. He took a deep breath and said, "No matter who you are, no matter where you are, I will find you." Cohen followed the trail of the blade all the way to a remote river. The vampire elder had been knocked down, with a large steel nail piercing through his shoulder and stuck in the ground. Hearing Cohen approaching, Blade clenched his sword alertly. "Don't be nervous. I'm actually a vampire hunter just like you." "Who are you?" Blade did not let his guard down. "You can call me Iron Man." Cohen pointed to the mecha-style mask on his face. "Never heard of that." Cohen shrugged. "You must have seen the devil face who calls himself Nightwalker before. He is my friend. Like him, I am also a righteous superhero. Fighting crime, upholding justice, and hunting vampires are all within the scope of my job." Dalphone frowned. Of course he knew the devil's face, he had met him once before and he almost got tricked by him. But later on, this guy didn't have a very good reputation. Why did I hear that devil face set a fire that enveloped the entire Manhattan in poisonous smoke? Cohen waved his hand and straightened his voice. "Rumors, they are all rumors. It was obviously the underground gangster Kingpin who started the fire because he wanted to make everyone in Hell's Kitchen addicted to drugs. Let me tell you, he is very powerful and many senior government officials, police and media have been bought off. Alas, the people nowadays have no access to real information, and all that is released are smoke screens." Blade thought for a moment and shook his head. "I don't care about these. Why are you following me?" Cohen extended his hand. "I came here this time to sincerely invite you to join my team and fight Frost together." Blade's heart moved. He had been tracking down clues about Frost. Recently, the entire underground vampire world in New York seems to be a little abnormal, and some changes seem to be taking place within them. He didn't know what happened exactly, but this change was related to Frost, the leader of the mixed-blood vampire faction. Tonight he took the risk of hunting down the vampire elder Marcus, also wanting to find out what was going on. "Do you know what happened?" Cohen smiled and said, "Actually, the story is very old-fashioned. It's about the noble purebloods who stick to the rules and block the way for the ambitious mixed-bloods. So it's a story about a mixed-blood person who will do anything to get to the top. But Blade, you and I can stop them." Blade's eyes turned cold. "The mixed blood you mentioned is Frost?" "Of course, who else could it be but him?" Dalphone was a little tempted. The person in front of him obviously had a lot of information, which was his weak spot. "But how can I trust you?" Cohen shrugged and walked over to Marcus, who was still struggling. He was surprised to find that the elder was full of fear of facing death. People are indeed different. Some have lived long enough to become indifferent to life and death. Some people become more afraid of life and death the longer they live. Taking out the small dagger he carried with him, he began his performance. In the cold night sky, the shrill howl was blocked just as it began, and then there was an unbearable groan. Cohen stabbed 108 times, but none of the strikes were fatal. Such a tragic scene aroused even Blade's compassion. "Kill him quickly." Sirens could be heard in the distance, and Cohen felt that the emotional level was definitely high enough. so he pulled out the silver steel nail and stabbed it into Marcus' heart. Ashes blown by the wind. Blade looked at him carefully, took the phone Cohen handed over, and left before the police arrived. Cohen took off his mask, walked to the distant road, and hailed a taxi. As soon as he returned to Emma Church, David threw a stack of documents in front of him. Yes, this is what you want. When Cohen saw it, he couldn't help but smile. He asked David to anonymously register a series of trademarks online, including Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, and even Thanos. If you take it out at the right time, you might be able to make a lot of money. After collecting the documents, he continued to ask David, "How is it? Did you find any information in Marcus's phone? I didn't want to kill him so quickly, but the blade came." David shrugged. "There are some contents, which are being sorted out. There will be results tomorrow." "Okay." After washing up, Cohen sat devoutly beside the bed, summoned the system, and opened the first silver-level gift package. "Congratulations on winning the reward, electricity control." Hiss, am I about to take off? He instantly thought of the famous villain Electro, the man who made Spider-Man depressed. But when he got to know this ability more deeply, he realized that he was overthinking. The so-called power control currently only has relatively basic capabilities. First of all, he is immune to electric shock, which means that even on a thunderstorm, he can wander around the street with an umbrella. Then it releases an electric shock, which can release a dazzling lightning within a distance of dozens of meters. Handsome. Very handsome. Very handsome. It's powerful, but only lasts 3 hits, after which it will go into a mana recovery state. Okay. Urgently looking for an ability upgrade card. The next evening, Cohen received the newly completed combat uniform. There's a craftsman like this in Hell's Kitchen, and it's much better than what he made himself before. Bulletproof in important parts, puncture-proof in other parts, lightweight and flexible, with exquisite workmanship. The surface of the combat suit has sharp gold and red lines, and at first glance it looks 46% like the Mark armor. Putting on combat suit and mask, he said he was Iron Man, who could not recognize him. Tonight will be a special night because the famous Iron Man will be officially unveiled tonight. David got an address from Marcus's cell phone, which was the archive of the New York vampires. Cohen notified Blade and the two would meet up there. At the door of a bar, the loud music even drifted onto the street. Cohen observed for a while and found that there were not only vampires but also normal humans entering. But it doesn't matter, as long as the system judges you as prey, everyone will be accepted. When Blade arrived, he looked Cohen over. Cool, right? Blade was silent for a while. Well, a little bit worse than me. Tough mouth. Cohen looked at the door of the bar and said, According to the information I have obtained, the archives of the vampires are in the kitchen of the bar. You can go there directly. Leave the vampire inside to me. Blade paused for a moment. After all, he was usually the one who carried the whole game in the past. But Cohen didn't give him a chance to explain. He took out 2 pistols and rushed in. Hearing the dense gunfire inside, Blade shrugged and followed in. The bar, which had originally had a cheerful atmosphere, fell into wailing in fear. Blood splattered everywhere. Ashes flying everywhere. Blade was dumbfounded when he came in. If they were not brothers, why were there so many human corpses on the ground? Aren't we vampire hunters? At a glance, Cohen saw the confusion on his face and laughed. Don't worry, I killed those who should be killed. If you don't believe me, go check it out. I've been in the industry for 2.5 years and I've never made a mistake in killing anyone. Dao Feng didn't know what to say, so he could only go to the kitchen. Cohen methodically cleared out the hidden prey. When he arrived at the kitchen, he found the refrigerator door was wide open, revealing a narrow corridor inside. Before he went in, he heard a loud roar and smoke and dust billowed in his face. When you walk in, there is a collapsed heavy iron door. In the secret room inside, there are the remaining pages of the Vampire Bible. Book of the Dead. Next to the door, there is a fat man weighing 800 kilograms. He is the archive manager, Jinju. There were many scars on his body, probably caused by the blade. Cohen didn't even look at him, and shot him in the heart. As expected of his 800 pounds, he turned into ashes more than others. Cohen walked into the secret room. Huge pages of books were sealed with glass and filled the entire room, lined up like dominoes. He asked curiously, "So, how much are these things worth?" Blade rolled his eyes. "This is the Bible of the vampires. Its value cannot be measured by money. They contain many ancient secrets, including the origin of the vampire clan and many other secrets." Cohen silently took out a small video recorder. "So, what's important is what's recorded on it, right?" Blade was looking for clues in the secret room, while Cohen filmed it from beginning to end, then went back and threw it to David, asking him to figure it out. Blade couldn't understand the contents of the Book of Death at all, but he had obtained some clues from the fat man at the door. Frost seemed to have discovered a relic, like an altar, with a complex structure, but he didn't know what it was used for. Snapped! Cohen suddenly clapped his hands. "Yeah, I think I understand." "Blade, do you understand?" Daofeng raised his eyebrows and asked. "What do you know?" "Look, it's clearly written here that you only need to sacrifice 12 pure-blooded vampire elders to obtain the supreme power of the Blood God. Frost is trying to make a big fuss." Blade looked carefully at the page of the Book of Death that Cohen pointed to, but after a long while, he couldn't figure out anything. He turned around and looked at Cohen, who looked confident. "How did you understand that?" "I can't understand half of the vampire half of me." But combined with the content of his previous interrogation, it seems to be consistent with this statement. "Does it say where the altar is?" "No, but it shouldn't be hard to investigate something as massive as the ruins found near New York. It also mentions that the ritual requires a special sacrificer." "Oh wow, look who this is, the famous Blade Warrior!" Suddenly, laughter was heard from outside the secret room, and a large group of people blocked the door. The leader was a pretty white-haired woman with heavy eye makeup and a tall figure. They stood at the door with a smile on their faces, obviously wanting to catch the turtle in the jar. Before Blade spoke, Cohen took a step forward and said in a cold and low voice, "I am now officially informing you that from now on Blade will be under my protection. If you want to touch him, ask me first if I agree or not." Blade behind me looked confused. "From the tone of your voice, it seems like I have become your little brother?" The vampires and human mercenaries led by the white-haired girl looked at each other in bewilderment. "Who are you?" "Crime Buster, Iron Man." The white-haired girl looked puzzled. "What is that?" Cohen's eyes became dangerous. "Woman, you are looking for death." Blade drew his knife and was about to move forward, but Cohen held out his hand to stop him. "Watch out, this next move is very cool." "Blade?" The next moment, a dazzling light flashed in front of everyone. Like a silver dragon, it flashed by in a flash. White-haired girl and the others were covered in smoke, their muscles were paralyzed, and they stood stiffly in place. In order to block the door, they formed a very tight formation. Everyone has a share in this attack. But one bolt of lightning is obviously not powerful enough when it is shared among so many people. Then let's do it again. Not enough? More. After 3 times, the white-haired girl and her group completely lost their resistance. Cohen felt a hollow feeling in his body. He pulled out his gun, walked over and coldly ended everyone's life. Blade was stunned. With so many enemies, he thought he would be in for a tough battle. "Let's go. The first ones to come are vampires, and the ones who come later are the police. We can't just blatantly kill the police." At the door, the two went their separate ways. When they were about to separate, Cohen warned Blade. "Frost may have targeted you. Pay attention to the safety of yourself and those around you." "Clear." Looking at Cohen's leaving back, Blade couldn't help but fall into deep thought. He was originally quite skeptical. The body shape and movements of this Iron Man are vaguely similar to the Devil Face, but I've never heard that the Devil Face can emit electric discharge. Could it be that they are not the same person? Strange. "Agent Coulson, Agent Barton, have some tea." In the church's back garden, sitting at the round table, Cohen poured tea for the 2 people with a smile on his face. "Do you need some milk or sugar?" No, thank you. Cohen put down the teapot, glanced at the dark circles under Coulson's eyes, and said with a smile, "Even if Agent Coulson is concerned about the safety of the people in Hell's Kitchen, he must pay attention to rest. You see, Agent Barton is very good, with sharp eyes and a keen gaze. As soon as he came in, he looked me over from head to toe." Hearing this, Coulson and Barton were both a little embarrassed. Cough, cough. Coulson coughed twice and changed the subject. "We came here this time to ask the priest if he heard anything. Since that night, the devil's face seems to have never appeared again." Cohen glanced at the chair under his but without leaving a trace. What a coincidence, the mask of the devil's face was buried there. "Not really, but the security in Hell's Kitchen has been very good recently. I have noticed it. This is real." After that night, George Stacy went mad. He personally led his team to patrol the streets of Hell's Kitchen several times. He made full use of the evidence of gang crimes previously sent out by David and arrested many people. Before, although he was a policeman with a strong sense of justice, he also knew that the gang forces were deeply rooted and had far-reaching connections, with considerable influence in the police station, city government, and district prosecutor's office. Therefore, he has always been able to live in peace with the many underground gangs in New York. But the appearance of the devil's face broke everything. His career was under great threat. At this time, if he wants to maintain his position in the hearts of the people, he can only resort to thundering measures. His actions were very effective at this point in time when supervillains had not yet appeared on the historical stage. The public security in New York has been completely changed, and the gangs have become more restrained. Some newspapers and media even said that a new era was about to arrive. But Cohen knew that all this was just flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water. The consequence of the improved public security is that most police officers are exhausted. With the help of some people with ulterior motives, voices against George Stacy began to emerge within the police force. This kind of good life is like a rabbit's tail, it won't last long. He smiled and asked, "Has Agent Coulson given up on hunting down Devil Face?" Coulson sighed. He had originally planned to fly to Brazil to dance with monsters. Unfortunately, 6 explosions in Manhattan left him behind. A fellow sufferer, Hawkeye Barton, was also sent here. In the past 2 days, he couldn't find any clues, so he came to Cohen to try his luck. He smiled bitterly. "I was about to give up, but he actually spread poison all over the city, which means he is very likely to have a crazy antisocial personality. The Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Agency must take this risk seriously. I heard some media reports saying that the poisoning of the entire city was done by Gene Bing? That's fake. There can't be such a stupid gangster boss," Hawkeye interjected. Cohen nodded, hesitated, and said, "I also heard a rumor that Devil Face didn't actually poison the entire city, but chose the wrong way to destroy the drugs?" "Less likely," Hawkeye said firmly. "It is impossible for a strong man to be so stupid." Cohen paused slightly and said, "You talk too much." "That's not necessarily the case." Cohen pondered and said, "Our world is actually quite abstract." Hawkeye and Coulson looked at each other. Abstract? What do you mean? Cohen didn't say it directly. "By the way, I heard that there is a new superhero called Steel Man. Iron Man in New York City recently?" Coulson stared with his panda eyes and thought for a long time. "Is that so? Recently I haven't paid much attention to news other than the mission." "I heard about it," Hawkeye Patton said. "There was a mass shooting at a bar, but strangely it was suppressed by various forces working together. Even the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency did not receive much information. But there is a rumor that a mech-style warrior dressed in silver, gold, and red massacred the bar." Cohen smiled in his heart. The power of vampires was indeed strong, and the news about them was basically suppressed. He pretended to be worried and said, "Alas, why do I feel that there are more and more of these guys who are beyond ordinary people? I really don't know whether it is a good thing or a bad thing for the world." Coulson and Hawkeye were shocked. They had never thought about this question. The power that transcends the mundane is increasing. Is this a revolution or a disaster? Their moods suddenly became complicated. Coulson secretly made up his mind that he must report this issue to the director. Seeing that he had slightly diverted the two's attention, Cohen felt slightly happy. He hasn't forgotten his vengeance against the Mafia and Kingpin. But after that night, the gang withdrew their power, Kingpin disappeared, and even Vanessa was taken away and is nowhere to be found. Cohen couldn't find anyone to take revenge on. In addition, the police and S.H.I.E.L.D. were keeping a close eye on him, so the revenge was delayed again and again. Best of all, find something to divert their attention. The vampire clan is an excellent explosive point. Humans actually coexist with vampires? Are we at risk of having our necks bitten at any time? With a little guidance, the vampires will be in big trouble. Although they are powerful, they are not Jews after all. With vampires as powerful an opponent as they are, won't the police be dragged into the quagmire? S.H.I.E.L.D. will also be diverted. By the time when the vampires are in trouble, the devil returns. At noon, Jess, the girl who was infected before, came to visit with hematologist Karen Watson. The girl Jess came specially to thank Cohen for saving her life, while Dr. Karen was very interested in vampire blood. Of course, the girl did not tell her directly that she was bitten by a vampire, but said that she was infected with an unknown virus. Dr. Cullen spoke with Cohen alone. She got straight to the point. Father Cohen, I have conducted a very in-depth study of Jess's blood, and she is not infected by some unknown virus. It is a mutation, a miraculous mutation. Can you explain it to me? Cohen looked at her. This black woman was an extremely skilled hematologist. In the original movie, it was thanks to the anticoagulant she developed that Blade was able to finally kill Frost, who possessed the power of the blood god. Why do you want to know? Karen's eyes flashed with enthusiasm. This is a magical blood, it contains the code of human evolution. If we can study it thoroughly, it will benefit all of humanity. Cohen yawned. But if you're not careful, your research might destroy humanity. There are too many such things in the Marvel world. No matter how noble the purpose of a plan is, it has the potential to destroy the world in the end. Dr. Karen was stunned. Destroy humanity? How is this possible? I will never conduct such dangerous research. I will only... Cohen waved his hand to interrupt her. I'm sorry, you have no idea what a powerful creature you are studying. I can't let you do whatever you want unless... Unless what? A glimmer of hope appeared in Dr. Karen's eyes. An inexplicable smile appeared on Cohen's face. Unless your boss is me. Dr. Karen was stunned. Cohen smiled and continued to explain. As I said earlier, this research is a very dangerous thing. Only people with sufficient strength can bear the consequences, such as me. You. Karen looked at the surroundings and saw that this was clearly just a dilapidated chapel. Cohen said calmly. In fact, I am not only a priest, but also a knight of God, a knight who punishes sins. Under God's guidance, I will cleanse this world. I am God's second sword to destroy the world. I am the great flood. Follow me and witness the darkness of this world. You will also witness the light of hope in the deepest despair. Looking at the chattering Cohen, Karen felt that she might have entered a cult. Cohen looked at Karen, who was not moved at all, and sighed. It turned out that ideals and justice could no longer convince the world? Or do I not have the talent to be a priest? The priest certificate that was purchased was indeed just purchased. He could only try another approach. Of course, besides this, I believe you can also become famous with this research. Winning the Nobel Prize in medicine is not a difficult thing. Your name will be remembered by the whole world, and you will become a figure in textbooks. A black woman who changed the world. Trample all white people underfoot. Enough! Karen shouted, his eyes sparkling. If you can provide a suitable research environment, I would be happy to work for you, Mr. Father. Welcome to join my team, someone will contact you next. Cohen smiled and said, then immediately turned around and shouted upstairs. David, come down to meet the guests. For Dr. Cullen, It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. As she said, if one could thoroughly study the blood of vampires and develop some usable technologies from it, even if it was just the regeneration of severed limbs, it would be enough to support a multinational medical giant. If you want to get involved in the gang and rely solely on your fighting skills, you will at best be a double-flowered red stick. The real bosses all have backgrounds and power. He didn't do this before because he didn't have the strength himself, let alone building a force. If you want to realize your dream of rising up in rebellion and unifying the world one day in the future, you must recruit heroes, accumulate wealth, establish reputation, and strengthen yourself. This is just the beginning. After David finished talking to Karen, he politely saw her out the door and then grabbed Cohen. His face turned purple. Fuck, do you know that even if we sell both of us, we won't be able to raise enough money to set up a research lab according to her requirements? At least hundreds of millions of dollars. Cohen touched his chin and said, Doesn't she work in the hospital? Tell her to go back and continue her studies, and use the hospital's equipment for research. We told her that it would take several months to set up our research laboratory and asked her to wait. David's eyes widened. Wait a few months and you'll have money? Are you planning on robbing a bank or a vault? Cohen rolled his eyes at him and said, I told you that you don't read books or newspapers, right? He picked up a newspaper. Look. A striking headline in the newspaper. Stark Industries participates in the Ministry of Defense's bidding for the Afghanistan missile project. David was confused. What was this? We bought shares of Stark Industries, but we bought for a decline. If Stark Industries wins the bid, we will be the ones in trouble. Cohen ignored his doubts and said, The startup fund God gave me is about to arrive. This is a chance to make a lot of money. He paused and said, Also, remember to give Karen a task to research a potion that can effectively kill vampires. David lay weakly on the table and said, Just do it. When all the money is gone, I will pack up and run away. An abandoned shipyard on the Hudson River. This is Blade's secret base, where he and the vampire hunter Whistler who raised him have been living. Blade went out to get the serum. Although he does not need to suck human blood like a vampire, he also needs to be injected with a special serum. Whistler, who stayed at the shipyard, noticed something unusual. He suddenly remembered that Dao Feng had just told him a few days ago that he should be careful recently. It must be those damn vampires. He grabbed a submachine gun and became alert. Several figures flashed by among the huge shipbuilding equipment. But before he could see clearly, the sound of wind came from behind, and a huge force hit his back. Whistler jumped forward and barely managed to keep his body steady. He turned around and fired a series of bullets, but there was no one behind him. Ha ha ha, he. There were a lot of sneering sounds coming from all around, but he couldn't see where the enemy was at all. Gritting his teeth, a murderous intent rose in his heart. If you want to kill me, come on. He turned his eyes to the tool table beside him and pressed down suddenly with his palm. In an instant, the sound of beep beep was activated throughout the shipyard. When Blade rushed back to the shipyard, he saw a raging fire and most of the huge factory roof had collapsed. Whistler was nowhere to be seen in the sea of fire. On the wall next to it, there was a message with an address saying that if you want to save Whistler, go there. Blade was furious and turned away. Not long after he left, a withered old hand suddenly appeared on the bank of the Hudson River next to him. Whistler climbed ashore with difficulty. He was seriously injured. Looking at the blazing fire, his heart was filled with sadness. When he walked to the door, he suddenly saw the words and address on the wall, and he instantly realized that this was a trap. Look at the wheel marks on the side, the blade has already passed. He was so angry that he coughed up a few drops of blood. In the pain, he suddenly thought of a number that Dao Feng told him. Maybe there is still hope. He quickly cheered himself up and decided to find a telephone booth, because maybe that person could save Blade. Emma Church. Cohen was examining his own strength. After his last trip to the Vampire Archives, he opened a bronze and an iron-level gift pack. Name, Cohen Wang. Age, 22 years old. Bloodline, human. Status, normal. Power, 27. Speed, 30. Human bloodline limit. Defense, 20. Constitution, 24. Spirit, 30. Human bloodline limit. Skills, Combat Master, Pistol Master, Trap Master, Swimming Master, Basketball Master, Submachines/Assault Rifle Master, Diving Master, Sniper Skill, Singing and Dancing Skill. Abilities, Night Vision, Compound Eyes, Dragon's Chi, Burst, Infrared Vision, Electricity Control. Items, none. Instance, unlocked. Alternate Universe, unlocked. Main task, those who are guilty must be punished. Iron level prey, 13 of 27. Bronze prey, 9 out of 27. Silver level prey, 0 of 3. Latest mission, Gold Hunt. Gold level prey, 0 to 1. Creed killed to gain redemption. His upgrade progress was getting slower and slower. He didn't know where to find large silver level prey for him to kill. It was a headache. Or go to the vampire's blood feast a few more times? But Frost seemed to have not done it since the last time. Just as I was worrying, the phone rang. It was a dry and weak voice of an old man. Is it Iron Man? Save Blade! Whistler told the story in a disjointed manner, and Cohen couldn't help but sigh. Blade, you are such a stubborn person. Why didn't you call me when you encountered this? Do you know that your mother is in the hands of the enemy? Can you bear to do it? Why don't you just wait for me to take her away, and then you can kill Frost? You are too impulsive. Despite his complaints, Cohen still packed up his equipment and planned to rescue Blade. If he remembered correctly, the villain Frost had kidnapped 12 pureblood elders. If you can kill them, you can at least get 2 silver-level gift packs, plus some other small Karami. If you are lucky, it is not a dream to greatly increase your strength. Before leaving, he stopped by the hospital where Karen worked. At his request, Karen developed an anticoagulant drug. For vampires, it is simply the most poisonous poison. In the original movie, Frost, who gained the power of the blood god, had almost no vampire weaknesses and was extremely powerful. It was with the help of this potion that Blade was able to turn the tables and kill him. However, when Cohen arrived at the building at the address, it was empty. The messy broken glass and walls full of bullet holes tell of the fierce battle that took place here. Cohen rubbed his face. It seemed that Blade was caught without any surprise. My mother is in the hands of others. Even if he is invincible, what does it matter? The most heartbreaking thing is that my mother is helping outsiders. At this moment, she was probably pouring Blade's blood on the altar. Cohen immediately contacted David. Have you found the location of the altar? David's steady voice rang out. There are not many places in New York and its surrounding areas that have been under construction recently. There are only more than 100 places. Excluding most of the places under public construction, there are still more than a dozen places. If we exclude the construction sites of the military or government departments, there are 3 places. I hacked into the cameras near your address, and one of them captured the direction their convoy was heading. There was only one place that met the target. It's a very hidden underground construction site, and the route is being planned. As Cohen approached a heavily shielded building while driving furiously, the system gave him a prompt. Ding, temporary task issued, kill the vampire. Mission content, New York is in danger, save it, Night of the God of Punishment. Mission duration, indefinite. Mission rewards, reward packages will be given based on the completion status. Cohen's heart suddenly warmed up. The last ability upgrade card was obtained from a temporary mission. If he could get another one, maybe he could really become Electric Man? Or a little dragon with a stiff body? Come on, Frost, I can't stand with you. However, as soon as he entered the underground altar, he found that something was wrong and there were too many enemies. And he was a little late, the sacrifice had already begun. In the main sacrificial room, there was a strong black wind, making a rumbling sound. With his mental strength reaching the limit of human power, he sensed the arrival of a powerful and almost unmatched force. After swallowing, he immediately changed his battle plan. Brother Blade, I'm here to save you. In the secret room above the altar, Blade was caught between two huge rocks. His hands and feet were pierced, his blood was drained, and he was dying. Cohen turned on the mechanism, the boulder separated, and his body fell limply to the ground. In the original movie, the heroine Karen sacrificed herself at this moment, allowing Blade to recover his strength after sucking blood, greatly increasing his strength, and then fighting against the villain. Of course, Cohen couldn't let him suck it. He made preparations in advance. When he went to the hospital to get anticoagulants, he also picked up a few bags of blood that no one wanted. He didn't expect that he would actually use them. After drinking the blood, Blade quickly regained consciousness and was very surprised to see the person in front of him. Iron Man, why are you here? If I wasn't here, you would be dead. It was Whistler who asked me to rescue you. Blade's eyes lit up. He's still alive. If he hadn't called me, you would have died before him. You've been through so many battles, why are you so impulsive? Blade's dark face turned slightly red. I am trying to save people. Time is life, there is no time to hesitate. Cohen threw him the anticoagulant, a dozen syringes filled with the turquoise-colored drug. This is an anticoagulant. It will kill vampires if you inject it into their bodies. Don't use it on random soldiers. Cohen stood up and made way. All right, hero, now go defeat that villain Frost. Blade was stunned. Aren't you going with me? Cohen shook his head and motioned for him to look behind him. There, a woman in white had just arrived. She looks very young, about the same age as Blade, but she is Blade's mother. She was bitten by a vampire while pregnant, and was sent to the hospital where she gave birth to the half-human, half-vampire Blade. Before, Blade thought she had died a long time ago, but the truth was, she had become Frost's girlfriend. Blade had to admit that his outlook on life had collapsed the moment he saw her. Fuck, do I still have to call Frost my stepdaddy? Cohen patted him on the shoulder and said, You definitely can't do it, so I'll do it. Blade hesitated, then turned and left. There were only 2 people left in the secret room. Cohen looked at the woman in white with a smile and said, Madam, how about you surrender? After all, you don't want to see the Blade. Before he finished his threat, the woman in white rushed over. Cohen smiled and said, TSK, I can't afford your enthusiasm. Blade's mother was clearly not a fighter. As soon as her body touched Cohen's, she felt a strong electric current rushing through her body, and she stiffened instantly. Cohen had no intention of getting entangled with her any further. If he delays any longer, Blade will clear all the minions by himself. How can he earn the gift packs? After a quick glance, an idea came to his mind. He took out a tube of strong sedative from his waist and injected it into her. This was also something he picked up from Karen's hospital that no one wanted. Then he placed her in the huge stone coffin that had trapped Blade just now, closed the mechanism, and the 2 huge stone doors trapped her tightly. He had no intention of killing her, so it would be best to leave it to Blade himself to decide how to deal with her. When he arrived at the battlefield below, Blade had already killed many people. Cohen felt distressed, so he pulled out his gun and fired randomly, successfully taking down a few heads. He yelled, Leave these guys to me, you deal with Frost. Blade didn't hesitate and turned and left. Looking at the enemies rushing over, Cohen showed a happy smile on his face. In order to ensure the sacrifice, Frost brought all of his men, as well as many human mercenaries and vampires. In front of his infrared vision and master-level pistol skills, they were like little fools waiting in line to die. He acted without any sympathy, and while cleaning up these little idiots, he kept an eye on the battle between Blade and Frost. After all, he still wanted to kill Frost. Unfortunately, the plot is not as it is in the movie. Frost, who obtained the power of the Blood God, is extremely powerful and almost defeats Blade. If it weren't for Blade's strong physique, he would have been killed long ago. Blade exhaled a breath and his eyes turned cold. The long sword flashed with cold light as he danced with it. His mental power was highly concentrated, while Frost, who rushed towards him carelessly, was full of flaws. Swish, swish. One sword cuts off the hand, and one sword cuts off the head. Frost didn't dodge, but Blade knew that it wouldn't kill him. This has happened several times. The broken head and arms didn't even have time to fall off before blood gushed out of the wounds. Within a few seconds, the wounds were healed as before. With this recovery ability, even Wolverine would be inferior to him. Gia. Frost laughed. You want to kill me? Do you have the ability? Now I am a god, the god of vampires. Just as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly flew in front of him, and then a large amount of silver-white powder was sprinkled on his head. What? He took a few steps back, but soon realized that it was just silver powder. Humph, it's too late to use this trick now. The sun, garlic, and silver can't hurt me now. He looked at Cohen standing in front of him, with a smile on his face. Are you the Iron Man? Kneel down, and I might consider sparing your life. After clearing out the miscellaneous soldiers, Cohen shook his head. Humph, I think you are dreaming. He turned around and rolled his eyes at Blade. Use the things I gave you. Are you playing house with him? Stab him hard. Dao Feng suddenly realized and scratched his head. I forgot. You black fool. The two of them were talking as if no one was around. Frost, who was ignored, was furious. Assholes, you are looking for death. The next moment, he attacked the two of them at an extremely fast speed. Bang! After 2 punches, Cohen's body was thrown into the air by the huge force. Only then did he realize that it was amazing that Blade could hold out for so long. Frost's speed far exceeds that of humans, and there are almost only afterimages between his movements. Cohen gritted his teeth, and the dragon energy burst out instantly. After his physical fitness doubled, he could barely see Frost's movement trajectory. Hey, what kind of ability is this? Frost asked curiously, noticing the change in him. He couldn't help but move forward and stretched out his hand to grab Cohen for a closer look, but as soon as he got close, Cohen sprinkled a large amount of silver powder. Although the silver powder could not cause any harm to him, the disgust in his heart still made him subconsciously dodge. At this moment, a dazzling light exploded before his eyes. A strong electric current instantly flowed through his whole body, making him stiff for a moment. The silver powder in the air melted and dripped onto his face. Then comes the second and third courses. Frost, who was paralyzed, was furious and felt a stinging pain on his face. He felt like he had lost all his face. Originally, Cohen hoped that Blade could take advantage of the opportunity to do something while Frost was under control, but no. This black idiot was lying on the ground rubbing his chest, and he hasn't stood up yet. Frost regained control of his body, his eyes blazing with fire. He rushed forward and punched Cohen hard. Cohen crossed his arms to block and had to take a few steps back. In his heart, he just wanted to curse Blade, saying that such a good opportunity was wasted. Why are you rubbing his breasts? If you had taken the opportunity to stab him a few times, the fight would have been over long ago. Frost's attack was like a storm, and Cohen struggled to hold on. Fuck, the movies are all lies. The blade is not cheating. The key is that if you don't open it, I'll be in trouble. You are injured and your chest hurts, but you can't run faster than me. Finally, Blade, seizing the opportunity, struck. It was still a very cool 3-hit combo, but it was just air. But what Frost didn't expect was that the knife didn't cut him, but a mouthful of spit flew over and hit him. 2 rows of big white eyes appeared on the face of Blade, which had been frozen for thousands of years. He grinned like a fox. Hey, Ace Monkey! Can this be tolerated? Faced with the merciless ridicule of the old man with facial paralysis, Frost instantly became furious. He rushed at Blade, knocked his knife away with 3 or 2 punches, punched his liver with 1 or 2 punches, and then lifted him up by the neck like a dead dog. Blade, today is the day you die. Look, I'm going to be the king of New York. Frost spit on Blade's face. Not just vampires. All humans will surrender to me. Rub. Unexpectedly, there was something hidden in the hand that Blade dropped limply. Feeling a slight sting, Frost looked down and saw a syringe stuck in his chest. He looked puzzled, smiled contemptuously, and looked into Blade's eyes. Haha, it's Allison? Have you forgotten that I am no longer afraid of it? Who told you that it contains Allison? A laughing voice came from behind him. Frost sensed something was wrong. Strange changes were occurring in his body. At the same time, he also discovered that the insidious guy Blade was going to stab him again. He swung his hand and threw the blade away, but the blade in midair still threw the syringe over. Frost endured the discomfort in his body and dodged to the side, but he did not expect that Cohen was already behind him. Cohen's dynamic vision was pushed to the limit. He caught the flying syringe with incredible precision and threw it out again. Pfft! Frost turned his head and looked down. A wobbly syringe was inserted into his trembling buttocks. He's broken down. What are you doing? He wanted to say 1,000 fucking things in his heart, but the discomfort in his body made him even more terrified. At this moment, Blade threw out a dozen syringes one after another and stabbed Frost mercilessly. Frost's body froze in place, then swelled up like a balloon. Cohen thought about the kills he still had to deal with, so he quickly moved to Blade's side and threw out all the remaining anticoagulants. The pistol then fired repeatedly, hitting Frost in the head and heart. After 2 magazines were used up, Frost, which had expanded to the extreme, exploded with a loud bang, and blood and flesh splattered all over the ground. He breathed a sigh of relief. This little thing was really hard to beat. A voice came from my mind. The mission has been updated, you can check it. God bless, I got the head. He immediately checked the system. Temporary mission, killing the vampire, has been completed. The target has been upgraded, triggering special rewards. Extracting. Congratulations on obtaining the source of advancement, the power of the blood god. System purification, bloodline obtained, primary royal blood, can be fused. Cohen was shocked. New bloodline. After learning a little about the royal blood, I decisively chose to fuse it. This is a high-level vampire bloodline that does not have the 3 common weaknesses of sunlight, garlic, and silver. The royal blood will give him physical qualities and upper limits that surpass human limits. Moreover, the royal blood is the royal family among vampires, and even the pure-blood elders will feel natural awe in front of him. The primary royal blood currently only grants him 2 skills, Blood Slave, and Daytime Blood. Like other vampires, he has the ability to transform humans into vampires. All vampires he transforms are his blood slaves. Nothing he said or did would disobey his orders. The Daily Blood can make his blood slaves evolve, improving their physical fitness while eliminating the 3 major weaknesses of the Blood Clan. But Daily Blood is the essence of blood produced by his bloodline, and the quantity is limited. He let out a long sigh, then opened all the black iron and bronze gift packs he had obtained from killing the miscellaneous soldiers and added points to them. Name, Cohen Wang. Age, 22 years old. Bloodline, primary royal blood, blood slaves, daywalking blood. Status, normal. Power, 61. Speed, 76. Defense, 40. Constitution, 82. Spirit, 45. Skills, Combat Master, Pistol Master, Trap Proficiency, Swimming Proficiency, Basketball Proficiency, Submachine/Assault Rifle Proficiency, Diving Proficiency, Sniper Proficiency, Singing and Dancing Proficiency, Helicopter Pilot Proficiency. Abilities, Night Vision, Compound Eyes, Dragon's Chi, Burst, Infrared Vision, Electricity Control. Items, none. Instance, unlocked. Alternate Universe, unlocked. Main task, those who are guilty must be punished. Iron Level Prey, 24/29. Bronze Prey, 19 of 29. Silver Level Prey, 0 of 3. Latest Mission, Gold Hunt. Gold Level Prey, 0 to 1. Creed, Killed to gain redemption. The power of the Blood God can definitely help him improve more than this. But after being systematically purified, the dross has been removed and its power has been weakened. Even so, his strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. His power is close to tons and his straight-line speed is close to 30 meters per second. As for his physical condition, he has not yet reached the immortality of Wolverine and Deadpool, but ordinary gunshot wounds and knife wounds can heal overnight. Regeneration of severed limbs is no problem at all. His physical fitness is officially beyond the human level. In a good mood, he patted Blade on the shoulder and said, "Where are you going next? I see your family is ruined, Whistler is seriously injured, and you have a troublesome mother. Why don't you join me?" Dao Feng tilted his head and looked at him. "Follow you? What do you want me to do for you?" Cohen shrugged. "You don't have to do anything. You can say you're hanging out with me, but it's more like cooperation. We look after each other. Normally, you kill your vampires and I uphold my justice. If there is anything important, we face it together." Dao Feng thought for a while, nodded, and then looked at the roof with a little melancholy. "That woman, you didn't kill her? Of course, if anyone is to kill, it's you who will do it. But don't worry, I will help you persuade her. I am the best at persuading people, and she will definitely listen to me." Cohen handed Blade the key to the old dock he had rented. It was a remote place with a large space, suitable for Blade who grew up in an abandoned shipyard. After some renovation, the bedroom conditions were not too bad. Blade's mother Vanessa was easily convinced by Cohen. She now lives with Blade. Faced with the maternal love that came more than 20 years late, Dao Feng was undoubtedly confused. As soon as Whistler recovered a little from his injuries, he moved into the dock. He was very worried that Blade would fall under Vanessa's affection and become a vampire's lackey. Fortunately, after a few days of getting along, he did not find that Vanessa had any intention of influencing Blade's thinking, but he still remained vigilant. Blade's daily routine became a night of hunting vampires with Cohen, then coming home to a delicious meal filled with love. In between, there are the various tough guy concerns that Whistler gives him in his quest for his heart. Cohen went as a visitor and felt a complete sense of tearing apart. Who could believe that a vampire hunter who was so cruel and ruthless and killed people without blinking an eye actually had a warm and cozy home? He even had time to keep a dog. I don't even have time to raise one. So after collecting evidence about vampires, Cohen decisively interrupted the vampire hunting operation with Blade. This guy has been smiling more and more and showing his big white teeth recently. At night, David was typing away on the keyboard. Before the last enter key was pressed, he turned to Cohen and asked, "Are you sure you want to do this? The vampires will hate you." Cohen nodded. "After looking at the photos and videos I recorded, don't you think I shouldn't do that?" David shrugged. "Well, God bless, don't let anyone find out that it was us who sent it. You, a top hacker, are you afraid of this?" David sighed. "In order to help you send this file, I used 8 protection programs to prevent others from finding us through the internet." Cohen smacked his lips and said, "Why do I feel like you care more about this than hiding the fact that I have a demon face?" "Nonsense, Devil Face is only facing the New York police and New York gangs, and at most a little bit of investigation by the Strategic Homeland Defense Bureau. If others find out that we sent this file, I'm afraid all the vampires in the world will seek revenge on us." Cohen thought about it, and realized that it was true. After revealing that vampires really exist in the world, the blood race must have suffered a heavy blow. No matter what kind of agreement they have secretly signed with humans, it will be of no use. The surging public opinion and speculative politicians are likely to push them into a dead end. So they would never let go of the person who planned all this. Thinking of this, Cohen felt a chill on his back and asked quickly, "Are 8 procedures safe? Do you want to add 2 more?" David rolled his eyes at him. "This is already the maximum protection. Please don't question the professionalism of the world's top hackers." He took a deep breath and said, "Gotcha." The enter key on the keyboard was pressed, a progress bar flashed quickly, and the file was sent. David turned to look at Cohen. "Well, there's no turning back now. Then let's see what kind of storm tomorrow's news can stir up." At 8 o'clock in the morning, most New Yorkers get up, wash up, and prepare to start their day. They habitually watch the news on TV while eating breakfast. Soon, they discovered that something was different today. What was the host on TV saying? What vampires and werewolves? Is this an April Fool's joke? But now it is April 10th, and April Fool's Day has long passed. They changed channels with trepidation, only to find that every piece of news was talking about this incident. On the second floor of Emma Church, Cohen and David were also in front of the TV, and the screen was the Daily Bugle TV station. Jameson, the Daily's owner and host, is ranting like crazy. This is simply shameful. Our city government, the American government, the Pentagon, the House of Representatives, and the Senate have deceived us and the people of this country. They hid the existence of vampires from us. Look at these photos and videos, these are demons feeding on us. Let us ask those politicians and officials, and our great chocolate president Mr. Okanagan, how did all this happen? How dare you be so ignorant of your people? Are we living in America or in the Soviet Union? After roaring, Jameson wiped his mouth with dissatisfaction, and was about to say something else when his eyes suddenly turned to the side. A man who looked like an assistant walked onto the stage with an anxious look on his face, and whispered something in his ear. Seeing this scene, David snorted coldly. The U.S. government reacted really quickly to this matter. Cohen shook his head. I can't suppress it. This is a matter of life and death. No one wants to be alive and well and suddenly have their neck bitten off by a vampire. Didn't you emphasize this point in the information you gave them? David laughed and said, I found several such cases in the evidence you collected. To use the words of your Chinese country, you were eating hot pot and singing songs, and suddenly a vampire bit your neck. I think even the TV people would be terrified by the presence of vampires everywhere. While they were talking, Jameson on TV looked grim. He gritted his teeth, as if he was facing a difficult choice. Dear audience, alas, just treat what I just said as nonsense. There are no such things as vampires in this world. Jameson's eyes were slightly red, and his body was trembling slightly, as if he had suffered a great injustice. Fuck, what is this guy doing? Hiss. Cohen couldn't help but wonder. Is he acting? David's eyes widened. He has a change of heart, and is going to confront the U.S. government? What the hell, does he have that thing? On TV, Jameson was still feeling aggrieved. Don't worry, everyone, you won't be pounced on and sucked dry by vampires in a dark alley on your way home at night. Nor will it be sacrificed at some lively ball and become a drink for vampires' carnival. I will not be threatened by some mysterious forces to shut down the Daily Bugle if I don't shut up just because I said a few words about the truth about vampires. He was in tears and looked just like a bullied young wife. The audience can guess who the mysterious force is, and now it is exposed nakedly in front of the public. A thought popped up in everyone's mind. The Daily Bugle is truly the last conscience of the media industry. David turned to look at Cohen. Tell me, did you secretly give him money? You must be kidding. How much money do I have to give him to work so hard? Direct an act on your own? Cohen raised his eyebrows. Is it too late to buy shares of the Daily Bugle now? David tapped the keyboard a few times and snorted. Too late. Forget it. No matter what his purpose is, he has helped me a lot. Cohen stood up, walked to the balcony, and looked at the Hell's Kitchen in front of him. Let the news ferment for a few days, and then all the bullets that have been shot at me will be rewarded. David swallowed his saliva. Only he understood that this was a declaration of death. At noon, Cohen was leisurely tidying up the overgrown flowers and plants in the back garden. He sensed something and paused slightly without looking up. After a while, a proud man's voice sounded. Look what I found! The legendary Iron Man is actually a priest! You really surprise me. Cohen raised his head and looked at the coquettish Tony Stark, and smiled kindly. Good afternoon, Mr. Stark. Would you like a cup of tea? Stark's expression turned cold. You don't seem surprised by my arrival? On the contrary, I look forward to your arrival. Cohen appeared calm on the surface, but he was secretly complaining in his heart. Fuck, how did he find this place? Don't you want to know how I found this place? At this moment, Cohen had already led him to the small hall, and he pointed to the cross. I know. You are here under the guidance of God. Stark narrowed his eyes. This guy was a jerk the last time they met, but this time he turned into a charlatan. Then Cohen asked a question he had never expected. I heard that Stark Industries participated in the Pentagon's missile bidding a few days ago. You should have succeeded without a doubt, right? What? Stark looked confused and asked. Do you still care about this? When are you going to Afghanistan? How did you know I was going to Afghanistan? Stark was shocked. The information about the bidding could be found on the internet, but the news that he was going to Afghanistan to demonstrate missiles was still top secret. But Cohen's next words made him even more confused. Have you ever considered giving up weapons research and development and sales, and contributing a little piece to the world instead of guns and killing? Stark was completely confused. What was going on? Seeing that the topic was changed successfully, Cohen felt that he had the initiative in the conversation. He continued, What brings you here, Tony Stark? Stark was silent for a moment. Originally, he had the intention of accusing him and asking him why he teased him. But now his attention was diverted. I want to know who you are. You, that big black guy in leather jacket, and Marcus who attended the party, who are you? Cohen smiled slightly. Marcus is the pureblood elder of the Blood Clan, Blade is a vampire hunter, and I am dedicated to the cause of justice and resolutely fight against all evil. Like Daredevil? My methods are cleaner and more efficient than his. You are all supernatural humans? Everyone has different situations. The only thing in common is that we all have a kind heart to punish evil and promote good. Stark, is this all the useless nonsense you want to ask? Cohen stepped forward and looked him in the eye. Why don't you ask if you can join this team and contribute to humanity and world peace? Stark was stunned for a moment, then a proud expression appeared on his face. I don't want to play your kind of house game. I can't stand wearing a leather mask and doing justice on the streets at midnight, sweating all over, and then having to work hard the next day. Cohen laughed and said, Are you sure you think so deep down in your heart? Stark, you have the smartest brain in the world, but you live the emptiest life. When you are old and look back on your life, you will find that you are no different from the homeless or beggar in the corner. The world will not remember you, and you have never changed the world. When you die, you reach the end. Do you want that, Tony Stark? Stark never thought of himself as someone who was easily persuaded. But Cohen's words made his heart surge. He had originally planned a romantic date with the twin cover girls of Penthouse magazine that evening, but now he had lost interest in it at all. He stared at Cohen. You want me to join you? Cohen looked at him quietly for a while, then suddenly smiled and said, I'm sorry, we don't have any plans to absorb unqualified personnel for the time being. But we can accept your joining in another form. Hearing the words, unqualified personnel, Stark was slightly angry. But he was more curious about what the other form was. What form? Money, lots of money. Stark gnashed his teeth, thinking, how could I, the smartest man on this planet, be worth less than a few pieces of dirty money? He felt very aggrieved, raised his middle finger at Cohen, and turned away. What a shabby place, do you think I'd want to come here? I make several million per minute, and I'm playing house with you guys, can you afford me? Cohen didn't care about his complaints at all and sent him to the door. Stark, when you really understand what I said, you will be a hero. In response, he heard the sound of Stark stepping on the accelerator of a sports car and raised his middle finger. Looking at Stark walking away, Cohen shrugged. This guy is about to go to Afghanistan, and he is about to make a lot of money. How can he change the plot at this point in time? Besides, without the long and inhuman torture in the cave, would the Iron Man who was born by his mouth cannon and deception still be the same Iron Man? Well, he suddenly remembered that he had to find a chance to pass on the name Iron Man to him. In this way, I am the first Iron Man and he is the second. It would be better to let the wealthy Stark buy it back. Humph, if he doesn't buy it, then I'll really give money to James from the Daily Bugle to let him lead the tone on TV and call him the Human Can Man. The vampires were in great trouble. After the TV station broadcast the video on loop for several days, tens of millions of people took to the streets. The entire United States was almost paralyzed, and the chocolate president finally came up with a solution. He declared all vampires illegal in the United States and established a special agency, the Vampire Removal Unit. The White House released the Vampire Hunting Manual and began equipping police across the United States with weapons against vampires. These measures set off a wave of killings across the United States. Just as Indian scalps could be exchanged for government bounties in the past, vampires' unique fangs have now become a kind of hard currency on the black market. Vampire hunting has even become the most fashionable game in the eyes of some young people. In this situation, vampires with obvious weaknesses suffered a major blow, and those who survived hid deeper. Cohen and David have been keeping an eye on the situation, and he feels it's working well. All attention is diverted from Devilface, and the revenge plan against the Hell's Kitchen gang can be put on the agenda. At this time, an unexpected young man came to the door. Wesley, the man who was oppressed by life. His eyes were confused and his hands were clasped together, as if he was holding something. When he arrived at Emma Church, he sat on the bench without saying a word until Cohen took the initiative to greet him, then he reacted. Cohen frowned. "Wesley, what's wrong with you?" He had come several times since their first meeting, and each time Cohen had given him heartfelt comfort and encouragement. For Wesley, who has been ruthlessly ravaged by life, Cohen is simply his life mentor. He stretched out his clasped hands in front of Cohen and slowly opened them, revealing 2 wingless flies. Maybe he held it too tightly along the way and the fly was half dead. "Father, the change you predicted has already happened, and you can't even guess what's happening." I shot off the wings of a fly." Cohen paused, knowing that the relevant plot was about to unfold. Simply put, the Assassin Brotherhood received a hint of fate from Illum. They read the names of the villains from the woven cloth and cleaned them up. Maintain world order. But the current Brotherhood leader Sloan has fallen. Obsessed with money and power, he begins to profit from the Brotherhood's skilled killers. Wesley's father Carlos discovered this, and Sloan wanted to silence him, but Carlos was too powerful. So, the protagonist Wesley came into Sloan's sight. He plans to train Wesley and control his son to kill his father. Cohen patted Wesley on the shoulder and said, "Did you see a lot of people today?" "Yes, there is a black boss, a beautiful sister, and others." "What do you think of them?" Wesley's excitement calmed down a little. He raised his head and said firmly, "My life is shit. They can give me a different life. I want to try." Cohen shrugged. "Then go and try it." Seeing Cohen say this easily, Wesley fell silent, because Cohen had instilled in him many times before, "Don't make decisions easily." "Why didn't you stop him this time?" Cohen smiled and said, "I'm letting you try so that you can learn from them. They will train you to be a top killer. But when they ask you to go on a mission, be sure to come to me once. Especially when I ask you to avenge your father's death." Wesley was shocked and asked quickly, "Revenge for the murder of my father? What do you mean?" Cohen shook his head and pointed to God behind him. "Destiny cannot be predicted, but God has pointed out the way to salvation. When you come back here again, you will understand everything." Cohen's revenge has officially begun. After investigations over this period of time, it was found that 6 major gangs were the main issuers of the wanted warrants: Russian Mafia, Algerian Mafia, Gambino family, Irish Mafia, Kingpin, and The Hand. At night, with David's help, he sneaked into a luxurious manor in New Jersey, which is close to the Hudson and separated from Manhattan by a river. Compared to Manhattan with its bright lights and luxury cars, this place is quiet and low-key. The Gambino family of the Mafia lives here. In the previous Demon Face hunting order, they contributed a considerable amount of money, $800,000, and also gathered more than a dozen gunmen. The Gambino family's biggest business at the moment is arms smuggling, and the RPG that bombarded Cohen that night was provided by them. Entering the manor, Cohen was agile and quick, attacking all the way like a skilled assassin. It cannot be said that no one knew about it, it can only be said that there were corpses everywhere. The enemy fell before he could see his face clearly. When we arrived at the main building, the lights were still dim. It's a pity that he has infrared vision that can see through walls. The glittering figure lurking behind the wall shows that the enemy has already known of his arrival. He replaced the gun from his waist with a new one, which was specially modified for him by the master weapons maker Whistler. It is called a gun, but in fact it can be called a small cannon. With single-shot loading, 20mm caliber, double charge, and special spiral armor-piercing bullets. If ordinary people use it, their wrists will be broken. Cohen called it the executioner. Boom! The bullet mercilessly penetrated the concrete wall and blew up the head of the figure hiding behind the wall. 9 shots later, the Gambino family was history. The few servants who were shivering in the servants' room only heard the sound of gunfire and footsteps, and then the massacre ended. When the police questioned them, they looked confused and knew less than the police did. This tragedy was quickly reported to George Stacy, and he had a vague suspicion in his heart that the devil face had returned. But looking at the pile of files in front of him, he closed his eyes, gritted his teeth, and threw the files back to his men. Handle it in a low profile. Afterwards, he continued to immerse himself in files related to vampires. These powerful people in the government hid the existence of vampires for their own profit. Now the people are angry, but why are we the police the ones who have to bear the consequences? Fake. While George Stacy was furious and working overtime, the gangsters in Hell's Kitchen also received the news. In a hidden luxurious office with the curtains closed, Kingpin is conducting a conference call. Everyone, I am absolutely sure that it was him who took action. If we continue to do our own things, we will only be killed by him little by little. I suggest that we unite and kill him. An old woman's voice rang out. I agree with Kingpin. This demon face may be more difficult to deal with than we thought. How are you going to kill him? Someone asked. Kingpin paused and said, I once formed a hunting team, but they failed. This time, I need a stronger team, more professional killers, more numbers, and a more perfect plan. And I will personally direct the operation on site. There was a silence on the phone, and then someone said, Are you sure? I will have a real man-to-man showdown with him. Everyone agreed with Jean Bing's proposal. The old woman asked, What's the first step in the plan? Jean Bing smiled and said, The first step is to let him take revenge smoothly. Cohen's revenge went smoothly. After destroying the Gambino family, he dealt a heavy blow to the Algerian and Irish gangs. At this moment he was standing on a tall building, waiting for his target. Earlier today, David found out that the 2 Lanska brothers from the Russian mafia might appear at the bar downstairs. The 2 of them are slightly more difficult targets, not because of their strong combat power, but because they are so good at hiding. It's not just them, the rest of Cohen's targets are all very good at hiding. Especially the fat guy Kingpin. Not only did he run away, but he also kidnapped Vanessa. It is simply unforgivable. Cohen's head was full of artistic germs, but he didn't know who to talk to. Soon, 2 drunken figures appeared at the door of the bar, each holding a heavily made-up woman, and walked towards the car on the street. Cohen concentrated his mind, and the scene before his eyes changed instantly. It was as if the eyes could zoom, instantly bringing the scene several dozen meters downstairs closer. The 2 familiar faces of the Lanska brothers seemed to be right in front of him, even the unshaved stubble was clearly visible. This is a new ability he developed in the past 2 days, Eagle Eyes. Simply put, it is a powerful farsightedness ability. Even at a distance of several thousand meters or even more than 10 kilometers, he can see targets the size of rabbits or mice. With the help of other abilities, every time he looks around, a large amount of visual information floods into his mind. So after he obtained the attribute values, he added 5 points to the lower spiritual attribute. There are still 5 points left to be allocated. The healing effect when adding attribute points can be used to deal with emergencies. Downstairs, the Lanska brothers came to the car with the woman in their arms. David's voice came from Cohen's headset. Hey, you'd better deal with them now, otherwise your old pickup truck won't be able to catch up with their Cadillac. But I want to know where their lair is. Don't worry. Without these 2 bosses who have some brains, those rough Russian guys won't be able to hide at all. Okay. Cohen raised his gun, took aim, and fired 2 shots in quick succession. Originally, the 2 bullets should have hit the chests of the Lanska brothers respectively, but at the critical moment, the shorter brother suddenly tripped. The bullet flew past his head. He heard a scream and turned around to see a stream of bright red blood spurting out of his brother's chest. Little Lanska's heart skipped a beat. Knowing the danger at the moment, he didn't hesitate at all, and lunged forward and jumped into the open car door. Boom! There was a loud bang from the roof of the car. Bang, bang! The car is bulletproof. Go, go! He roared loudly, but his eyes were looking at his brother in the middle of the bloody road. Big Lanska's eyes overlapped with his, and his blue eyeballs moved, as if he wanted to say something. But blood flowed over his lips and teeth, and those familiar eyes gradually lost their luster. Squeak! The rubber tires rubbed violently against the asphalt road, and blue smoke filled the air, blocking the view. The next moment, his body had moved away with the car. On the rooftop, Cohen aimed at the wheel. Bang! The car lost control for a moment, then quickly stabilized, but its speed was greatly reduced. Cohen put away his sniper rifle and thought, wow, he was so lucky. But at this speed, can you escape my old pickup truck? A thrilling chase broke out on the road. Cohen's old pickup truck roared to 80 miles per hour and kept pace with the Cadillac with the damaged wheel. He pulled out his gun and fired, the bullets leaving white craters on the car windows. Under normal circumstances, with his master-level ability, he could even hit the same place continuously and break the defense. But the old pickup truck was too old and the whole vehicle kept shaking. At this time, he could only take out the executioner. Little Lanska quickly noticed this and yelled at the driver. Get out of the way. Boom! The Cadillac's bulletproof rear window finally couldn't withstand the impact and a big hole was torn. However, Little Lanska squatted down with his head in his hands in advance, so he saved his life. Just as Cohen was about to fire a second shot, he found that the Cadillac was actually crashing directly towards him. Fake. Although Cohen is skilled in martial arts, his driving skills are not that good. According to the system rating, he probably does not reach the proficiency level. The skills of the Little Lanska driver are obviously much better than his. In addition, he was really afraid that the old pickup truck would fall apart if hit, so he had to retreat. But the Cadillac, with its ankle sprained, couldn't run fast enough and couldn't get rid of the pickup truck. Little Lanska was anxious, and at this moment, the cell phone in his pocket rang. After the call was connected, a familiar voice came through. It was Jean Bing. If you want to live, do as I say. After answering the phone, Little Lanska's face was gloomy. Jean Bing told him that they had prepared a trap and asked him to lure the pursuers behind him there. He suddenly remembered that one of his subordinates had been making a fuss today, saying that he had been stuck in the house for too long and wanted to go out and have some fun. The crowd was so excited that the brothers brought people out. Now it seems that I have been used as bait today. Infinite murderous intent surged in his heart, but he couldn't explode. After a long sigh, he said to the driver, "Turn right at the next intersection. We have a new destination." Soon, the car drove into the underground parking lot of a building. Cohen followed in, but quickly lost sight of the Cadillac in the complex's underground parking lot. Contact with David was also cut off. Fuck, I should have bought a Ferrari. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from the empty basement. Hello, Devil Face. Cohen found the source, which was a speaker and a camera. He shrugged and said, "You've got the wrong person. I'm the new hero Iron Man. I know the good guy you are talking about. Although he is handsome and powerful, I am not him." Ha ha! A deep and familiar voice came from the loudspeaker. "You may be able to fool those useless policemen, but you can't fool me, Devil Face." Jean Bing. Cohen was silent for a while, neither admitting nor denying, but smiled and said, "Now you have also become a clown hiding behind the computer screen, Wilson Grant Fisk? Come out and face me if you can, you bastard!" Jean Bing's laughter came from the loudspeaker. "Of course I'll face you, when your face is ripped off." As soon as he finished speaking, Cohen heard some movement behind him. He turned around and discovered with his sharp eyesight that there were many shadowy figures in the corners. Bang, bang, bang! Fierce gunfire rang out, and his figure turned into a shadow, shuttling through the empty underground parking lot. Although there were enemies on all sides, he was not afraid at all. His figure was as fast as the wind, moving from south to north and from east to west. When he stood in front of the camera again, the crisp sound of Glock pistol shells falling to the ground had just stopped. Jean Bing, is this all you have? Of course I have more than just this ability. 7th floor, come and catch me. Cohen glanced at the stairwell next to him and smiled. Do you think I would fall for such an obvious trap of yours? I am the hunter and you are the prey. Why do you think you can take the initiative from me? So you're not coming? Cohen looked at the camera and narrowed his eyes. Jean won't let him leave easily, and the exit might have been blocked. In that case, let's see what strengths he has. No, of course I'm here. Because I enjoy the feeling of hunting. Holding the gun in both hands, he kicked open the iron door of the stairwell. Bang! A strong shock wave came towards him, like a huge wall, leaving him no room to dodge. Flying in the air, Cohen only saw a huge machine like a horn, which hit him the moment he opened the door. Jean Bing's voice came again. Ha ha, what, didn't you find that thing? Cohen twisted his body in the air and barely landed on the ground. The huge shock wave made his stomach churn and he felt a little uncomfortable. You're still far from being able to kill me. As soon as he finished speaking, several bullets were fired accurately, and he dodged them. Ta ta ta! Several footsteps were approaching rapidly, and a silver light came from the side. Before my eyes there was a flash of red light, and a graceful and plump woman in red had a flash of silver light in her hand, and a cold light pierced straight ahead. Master! As Cohen dodged, this thought immediately came to his mind. But this is not the end. Behind him, 2 guys in suits also attacked with sharp swordsmanship. In a hurry, Cohen blocked it with the Glock pistol in his right hand, and the steel barrel was cut off like tofu. He retreated again and again, narrowly avoiding the attacks of 4 people. After the first wave of attacks was over, Cohen stood in the center, and the 4 men stood in 4 directions. With a quick glance, he found that there were 3 silver-level prey among the 4 people. Not far away, Kingpin's tall and fat figure appeared at some point, wearing a white suit and holding a black cane. Behind him stood 3 women and a man in red and blue uniforms. This is obviously a trap. Cohen was curious about how Kingpin convinced the Russian brothers to take the risk of seducing him, or how he had betrayed the Lanska brothers. Cohen calmly pulled out the 2 daggers from his waist and said slowly, Jean Bing, last time you found 4 people, and I killed 3 of them. It seems you have learned your lesson this time, finding so many at once. An angry voice sounded nearby. Hey, I'm a well-known person, don't confuse me with those ordinary killers, my price is very high. It was an absolute mistake for Mr. Jean not to look for me last time. This time I am going to put an end to you, you devil face. But I still want to thank you. It is people like you who provide me with a job. To be honest, mercenaries have a hard time nowadays. Shut up! Wade! Jean Bing scolded. Well, you have the final say, Big Daddy. Cohen looked at the person who was speaking. He was a bit handsome, a chatterbox, wielded 2 long swords, and his name was Wade. Wade Wilson? The double-blade man's eyes lit up. He knows me. I told you, I'm a well-known person. Hey, Erica, I wasn't kidding you. Are you interested in discussing knife skills? My girlfriend is not home tonight. We can try a few more positions. That's enough, shut up. Jean Bing couldn't help but yell. If you still want to get paid, shut up. Wade shrugged and tactfully made a gesture to zip up his mouth. Currently, Wade Wilson is just an ordinary human mercenary, and the only bronze-level rookie among the 4 people surrounding him. Cohen turned his gaze to the woman in red holding the 2 forks. Are you Erica? You know me? Cohen took a look at her tall and attractive figure and said, I am very interested in you. Then, he looked at Jean Bing and said, It seems that you have put a lot of thought into dealing with me. Some of us may not be able to leave this parking lot later, so how about we get to know each other? Ha ha! Jean Bing showed a mocking smile on his face. Why, you want to know who you are facing? Are you scared? No. Cohen waved his hand. I just suddenly remembered that if I want to build a tombstone for you, I must know what name should be written on it. Ha ha! A middle-aged man's sneer came from behind him. If you have the chance, you can give it a try. Remember, my name is Murakami. Cohen tilted his head slightly and asked, Are you one of the 5 fingers of the hand? I asked him why he spoke English in a simple way, and he nodded. Don't worry, you will be the first to die. Then he looked at the other person. Who are you? Soanda. Great, you second one. Both of them are silver-level prey. In addition to their good strength, they also have the bonus of being gang bosses. Then he turned his gaze to behind Kingpin. Echo. Natalie. The 9 Spider Bride. Speed Demon. Cohen smiled and nodded. You are all capable people. Wait, Natalie? Wait, it's still a gold-level prey. He took another look and found that the red-haired woman with an eye patch gave him a familiar feeling. Under the tight uniform is a mature female body, full of charm. But when did S.H.I.E.L.D. cooperate with Kingpin and send their ace female agent over? Or... He suddenly remembered Coulson and Hawkeye Barton whom he had met last time. Are these 2 guys staring at me outside the building again? S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to ride on Kingpin's ship? Have a thought. But Black Widow, you've also been counted as prey by the system? Are there any wronged souls among your subordinates? It seems that the bald chief can't escape either. Bang, bang! Jean knocked the ground with his cane. Mr. Devilface, don't we talk too much? I think their swords are thirsty for fire. Cohen clenched the dagger and took a stance. It's not much, actually. I have a habit of savoring the fear of my prey before it dies. So before I kill someone, I'm very cautious. Haha, then let's see who is more afraid. Boom! Kingpin pounded his cane hard. The heavy voice was like a slogan. Enemies were coming from all sides. In an instant, Cohen felt that his arms were not enough. Knives came from all directions, accompanied by the sound of wind, like the howling of evil spirits. Cohen could see that the 4 of them were almost all above mastery in their fighting skills. Maybe he hasn't reached the master level, but at least he is a half-step master. Among them, Murakami and Soanda obviously have physical fitness beyond ordinary people. Wade hasn't turned into Deadpool yet, but he also has a body that is close to the limits of ordinary people. If Cohen had not obtained the royal blood, it would have been extremely difficult for him to survive such a fight. Once he thought of this, he no longer hesitated. Dragon's breath, explosion of energy, full firepower. While his physical fitness doubled, Cohen used his compound eyes to the fullest extent. Find the best opportunity among the 6 attacking knives and forks and dodge to the safest position. At the same time, this is also the best position for counterattack. His arms left a shadow, and the silver-white dagger drew an arc, heading straight for Murakami's throat. This attack was as fast as lightning. Murakami stared at the sharp dagger with his own eyes, his whole body felt cold, he roared wildly in his heart, and frantically mobilized the ancient power in his body. Finally, his body moved a little. Pfft! The dagger pierced his collarbone. Murakami's howl of pain shocked everyone. The attack of the 3 people slowed down. Kingpin's eyes turned cold, and he said to the uniformed man behind him, Speed Demon, it's your turn, attack immediately. The man in the red and blue uniform was not afraid of him. TSK, I thought these losers could handle it themselves. The Speed Demon stretched his arms and legs, leaned forward and made the starting motion for a race. Dingo! Here comes the 100-meter champion. Shoo! Cohen, who was chasing Murakami, saw a shadow flash in the corner of his eyes. He only had time to kick Murakami in the lower back, and then a fist quickly enlarged in front of his eyes. Boom! He punched him hard in the chest, causing him to retreat 3 steps. There was a gleam of disbelief in Cohen's eyes. This bastard is so fast. According to the system, His speed attribute value has already exceeded 100 at this moment, but this speed demon still has a speed far beyond his. Next, the speed demon launched a series of attacks on him. Fortunately, he was not a fighting master, so Cohen managed to keep his handsome face, otherwise he would have been beaten to pieces. But those punches landed on him, and even though the damage was reduced by the uniform, it still made him look very embarrassed. Injuries gradually accumulated on his body. Sure enough, what the famous martial artist Huiyun Evil God said was right: all martial arts in the world are indestructible except speed. The explosive state of dragon energy can burst out multiple times in a short period of time, but it cannot maintain long-term continuous bursts. To break the situation, the speed demon attacks, and the others watch. His gaze lingered on two of them for a moment, and when the speed demon hit him again, he took a few steps back with the force, then turned and left. Ha ha ha, devil face, this parking lot may be big enough, but do you think you can run away? Kingpin's voice echoed in the underground parking lot. Of course he couldn't escape, Cohen knew it. The exit must be blocked, and he couldn't outrun that speed demon. So the escape was just a feint. He turned and ran towards the stairwell. When he first entered the parking lot, he walked around the place for a long time and there was no one there. The gunman, Kingpin and others must have come down from there. In other words, the stairwell is the only exit. Jean Bing discovered his intention, smiled, and said with a hint of praise, "You are smarter than I thought, but what does it matter if you go up? The people up there are still mine." Cohen ignored him and came to the iron door of the stairwell. His eyes fixed. That loudspeaker should still be waiting for him behind the door, right? He paused slightly in opening the door. Seeing this scene, Jean Bing's mouth curled up slightly. With the speed demon behind him, Cohen had no choice. When the door was pushed open a little, Cohen saw the big speaker, and the red light on it suddenly lit up. What no one saw was that a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Open the door and get out." Although the shock wave was extremely fast, he did not dodge it completely, but he still left more space for the speed demon behind him. The figure in the red and blue uniform rushed over at an extremely fast speed, and then retreated at an extremely fast speed, leaving only a distorted shout. "Fuck!" After the attack, the loudspeaker entered the energy storage state. Cohen took a look but did not go in. Instead, he closed the door and ran to another place in the parking lot. Everyone was puzzled. After finally opening the door and getting hit, why didn't he go in again? The curve of Jean Bing's mouth gradually retracted. Just now, when he said that demon face couldn't escape from the parking lot, he was implying that the exit was blocked by him. Smart people would immediately think of the stairwell, the passage where he and the ambushing gunman and hunting team came down. But what he didn't tell everyone was that the stairwell was also blocked. Once the demon face goes in, he will become a rat in a narrow space and can only wait to die. Unfortunately, he was smarter than he thought. But what's the use? Although the parking lot was empty, it was only a matter of time to find him. He glanced at the few drops of blood Cohen left at the foot of the stairs and told everyone calmly, "It seems that he was seriously injured. Go find him and bring him to see me." On the other side, Cohen hid behind a thick concrete pillar. The communication with David was cut off, he was injured, the enemy was approaching step by step, and it seemed to be a dead end. But there was not much panic on his face. Turning around, he saw that the enemy closest to him was Wade, who had not yet officially become Deadpool. He held two swords in his hands, skipping and humming a song. "La la la, after completing the mission I will have money, and with money there is hope. La la la, half is for Vanessa, and the other half is for my medical treatment. La la la, my little lung, it has to. Wade, I'll pay you twice as much as Kingpin gives you." A deep voice interrupted his song. He was stunned and turned his head to see Cohen hiding behind the pillar next to him. He looked back at his teammates not far away, and seeing that no one was paying attention, he also hid behind the pillar. The two men were quite close to each other, with only two long swords and two short daggers between them. Wade said seriously, "I am a mercenary. Professional ethics is the most important thing in our line of work. 3 times. He observed the movements of his teammates and said, There are too many of them. 4 times. Damn, you've successfully attracted my attention. Can you pay first? Haha, I don't trust you. Cohen laughed softly. How could that be? I am the most professional person. Cohen rolled his eyes. Will Deadpool abide by professional ethics? I would rather believe that Captain America is Hydra. Although, the one in front of me is not the real Deadpool. I have a way to cure your advanced lung cancer. Are you interested in learning about it? What? How do you know Wait, did I just sing it? Wade frowned and thought for a moment. No, then how could you? I can also help take care of your girlfriend while you are recovering. My fake, who are you? Cohen said in a low voice, as if bewitching. You have seen my ability, I am serious. Are you willing to die like this? Are you willing to leave Vanessa alone in this world and let her be held in the arms of another man? Are you willing? Wade's eyes were fierce. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? Otherwise, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Cohen raised 3 fingers and swore to the sky. I swear on the name of Iron Man. If I lied to you, I would be hit by a missile while sitting in a car, with a big hole in my chest and still not dying, and I would be locked up in a cave and tortured.